God, the day is finally here. After years and years and years and years of waiting, we finally got our Nintendo Switch 2 Direct.
Yes.
So, and I don't know about you, but I got a lot of feelings. So, yeah.
I got feelings.
Yeah. Welcome back, everybody. Well, I mean, about the Switch.
Okay.
Welcome back, everybody, to the dojo here. Nope, that's not the right thing. Welcome back to the RageSelect podcast here on RageSelect. I'm an extremely frazzled Jeff.
I'm John. I'm okay. I got nothing.
I spent the last 14 hours trying to fix video. I really hate it. You go online and you're just like, my video is broken. Everybody's like, well, just re-record it. I'm like, no, this is 2025, man. There's got to be something I can do. And there's like, nope, just re-record it. So, yeah. So my brain is alight with horrible video shit. But I'm going to try to put all that aside because we have very exciting news to look at.
I was going to say, my only problem that I had today was that I had breakfast.
Yeah.
And I ate too many breakfast tacos.
Oh, man, that sounds like the best problem I've ever heard of in my life.
Wake up and take Amanda to her job.
Yeah.
She's going out of town for a work thing.
Yeah.
And then I was like, you know what? I'm not up this early lately.
Uh-huh.
Or if I am, I'm not up and out and about.
Sure.
I was like, I'm going to go to Rudy's and get some breakfast tacos.
Oh, man. Your life. Can we trade lives? Do you want to trade lives?
No.
Do you want to trade lives?
No.
Damn it. All right, fine. Well, before, though, we get to the Nintendo Switch stuff, John, I watched a movie last week.
Oh, yeah?
I have some feelings about.
Yeah?
I watched The Monkey.
Is
The Osgood Perkins, kind of was like a Stephen King story.
Yeah, it was originally based on the monkey that classed the cymbals, but because apparently that's copyrighted, they had to change it to the drumming.
To the drum, yeah.
Yeah.
So it's about this guy, and his family has this toy, and whenever it does its thing, people get gruesomely murdered.
Yeah.
It had a very weird score, and then when I watched it, I was like, oh, I get why, because it was one of these movies where it's like half of it is really just a kind of a family drama about these two boys and how they were estranged from their father, and then this, and then the other half were some of the most graphic Terrifier 3 style murders I've ever seen.
Okay.
in a thing. But it was 90 minutes, so it had to keep moving along. It had some very strange guest stars. Adam Scott is in that movie. The lady that plays Twyla, Eugene Levy's daughter, is in there. So I don't know. It was okay. I think that I wouldn't say that it was super great, but I wouldn't give it a bad score either. I mean, every 15 or 20 minutes or so, you got to see somebody die in a really interesting way. So, if you like horror movies, that's a good thing. Okay. You just got to be ready for all that other stuff where it's, talking about feelings and family drama and stuff like that. So, yeah, I don't know. It was okay. It was okay. I wish I had more stronger feelings about it. How about you?
I've not seen that movie, so I can't comment on it.
You watch anything good lately?
I literally an hour before coming over here, I finished season 3 of Reacher.
Oh, okay. How was that?
It's all right. Not as good as season 1 and 2, but it's still entertaining.
Yeah, a big guy walking around punching stuff.
Yeah, except this season had a bigger guy.
Oh my God, bigger than Reacher.
Yeah,
what will Reacher do now?
That was like a villain. That yeah.
I feel like this is the Amazon USA TV version of Solo Leveling. It's just here's this big guy, but here's an even bigger guy. What will happen when the big guy and the bigger guy come into contact?
Yeah. So I mean, like I said, I liked it. I liked the first 2 seasons more.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure it got renewed for another season.
Okay.
I think. Mm-hmm. I could be wrong on that.
It's hard to tell with that Amazon shit, right?
But yeah, so I watched that. I finished it. I liked it. Prior to that, I finished the seasons of what the hell is that show that I was thinking of?
NCIS. JAG.
No, I said
Person of Interest.
Anime.
Oh, Solo Leveling?
No, not Solo Leveling, but similar in some aspects. I've talked to you about it before. I just can't think of the name of it all of a sudden.
Is it the Red Ranger in another world, the Isekai Red
I'm
Ranger?
still like 3
Oh,
episodes.
Tower of God?
Tower of God.
Tower
that
of
was
God.
it, yeah.
Okay,
I
okay.
finished all of both season 1 and 2 of Tower of God.
Okay.
I don't know if I like the story of that anime, but I really like all the characters.
Okay.
And I like their interactions with each other, so I just keep watching because I like watching them interact with each other.
Yeah.
But as far as what the overarching story is, I could not give two shits.
That's always an interesting feeling that you have when you're watching a show and you've been watching it for like a month and a half, and you're like, I don't even know if I really like this, but I think I'm going to keep watching it.
Yeah. Well, it's because there are the main 3 characters, which is funny because like they're the main 3 characters in the first season, and then in the second season they're separated, and you don't see 2 of them for like half the season, and then one comes back into the picture, and then the third one doesn't come back until like the last 4 or 5 episodes. And like it's just like when they're all together, it's great.
Yeah.
And so it's just kind of this weird thing in the second season. It was just like, all right, this is a bit of a slog because I don't know if I give a shit about any of these stories without these characters, and then none of the new characters are, they're fine.
Yeah.
But like the characters that I want to see are not here, and then they all show up at the end, and I'm like, all right, season 3, these 3 will be back together again. I'm sure there will be another like 2-year time skip.
Oh, right. Yeah. I don't know. I'll tell you what, though. I talked about it with you a little bit on our Elden Ring video, but the other thing I've been doing is reading that Dungeon Crawler Carl series.
Yeah.
And I, excuse me. I just tore ass through the second book yesterday. I was just like, I could have been playing Atomfall. I could have been doing better stuff. This was before I realized that my videos were all fucked up. But I was just like, no, man, I got to find out what happens to this guy in this book. I think anybody that likes video games or like fantasy stuff, but especially video games, especially probably people who like the isekai stuff would really enjoy it because it's got a lot of that. It's like somebody engaging with a kind of a fantasy role-playing series, except it's like real, so you can die, and there's like stakes, and it hurts and shit. So... but yeah, I'm on to book 3 now. I don't know. That's like 1 week I've gone through 2 books, and it's been a while since I've been like hooked that hard by a series. So good stuff. Well, wow, that didn't take very long. Let's get into Nintendo because Nintendo, we finally got April 2nd, we finally got our Switch 2 reveal, and we got about an hour-long video. And first, let me say I was really mad because I got up at 7:30 in the morning to watch this, and they didn't even have the pre-orders didn't happen right after it was over. I was like,
no, they pushed the pre-orders back to the 8th.
Just let me know. Just tell me. Just tell me ahead of time.
If you're pre-ordering it directly from Nintendo, which has a whole bunch of stuff attached to it that I'm sure we'll get into later,
it's like
that's
May 8th.
That's May 8th. Yeah.
We started out our presentation with that new Mario Kart game.
Yeah, Mario Kart World.
Yeah, we knew there was going to be a new Mario Kart game because it was like the only thing they showed in their little teaser for the Switch 2. And yeah, this is Mario Kart World, or as I like to call it, Mario Kart Paradise, because this is basically...
I was going to say they turned Mario Kart into Forza Horizon with Tony Hawk moves added.
Sure, yeah. I guess the first thing that came to mind for me was Burnout Paradise. But yeah, it's also Forza Horizon, and... The Crew has like a version of this.
Yeah.
Need for Speed Unleashed. Take your pick of open world racing games, but now it's got Mario.
And you can do sick grind moves on rails.
Yep, you could sickly grind on rails. There's a cow in there.
It's the Mario Kart 64 cow.
Oh, okay. I have no idea. I didn't play. I'm not as big into Mario Kart. I mean, it's fine, but it's not exactly like... I don't know. It never just blasts my socks off. Like, I'll play a little Mario Kart, but it's never anything that I get way into nowadays. But yeah, it's a big open world, and you can drive around. You can get online with up to 25 other people and kind of like race, but then also go between races. Which I don't know. Okay, listen. Let me just take a brief sojourn over here, John.
Go for it.
I do like racing in a Mario Kart racing game. You know, I played Wipeout back in the day, F-Zero. I like a good F-Zero. I don't understand why all these games feel the need to let you drive between races. Like, I want to do the races, and it's like, okay, well, now you have to drive to the next area to do another race. And it's just, I don't know, it's kind of busy work. Like, sometimes they have a thing like... where it's like, well, who can get the best time going from this race to this race, and I'm always just kind of like, but why? I don't really understand. I don't know. It never really made a lot of sense to me. It didn't make sense in Forza Horizon. Didn't make sense in Need for Speed Unleashed, and I don't really think it makes all that much sense here either. But but yeah, so Mario Kart World, flying and having different kinds of cool stuff and upgrades and shells, I'm sure, and blah blah blah. I don't know. Does this do anything for you? Does it do more for you than it does for me?
Like I'm always excited for a Mario Kart game, and this is kind of it's the next evolution of, because I mean, after the last one, I was very much like, well, what are they going to do next? Because there's not really much else that they can add to this franchise to really spice it up, and then making it kind of this thing where you can also go open world and explore, and then also adding the like wall tricks and grinding and other stuff. It's fun. Plus, they didn't talk about it, but it's, if you pay attention to the trailer, every other scene, all the characters have different outfits on, so there's probably going to be some like outfit customization for the characters.
Sure.
That seems fun.
They had a brief thing where they showed, I think it was like Peach in like 3 different outfits, like in the trailer. But okay, yeah, I don't know. It's very interesting. You know what? I'll save my weird thoughts for the end. We'll just kind of go through this a little bit with some brief overview stuff, and then we get to the end and we can maybe talk about more in-depth thoughts. So,
okay.
But yeah, this is going to be a launch title. So it's going to be kind of like the previous one. You're going to have Mario Kart on launch, which is good. So yeah. From there, we found out. We also got April 17th. There's going to be a direct about Mario Kart specifically with more details. Also, there was a treehouse I didn't watch today that I think they did with a bunch of stuff.
I didn't know.
Yep. From there, they went into like a little bit more information about the nebulous C button. Oh, there was a C button on the controller. Everybody's like, what does the C button do?
The C button stands for chat.
Yeah.
And it basically launches Nintendo's own version of Discord.
Yeah, kinda. I don't know. This is I have more feelings. The feelings, they keep coming. So yeah, okay. What is this? You can add like up to 4 people in a like kind of
group chat.
Group chat, but it's a little different because it shrinks the game a little bit, and then it puts kind of like people's little things down at the bottom. The Switch itself has a microphone. Switch 2 has a microphone in it that can detect you talking from across the room and like filter out noise and stuff. Also, I did read an article today. I don't think they talked about it in here, where this is using an NVIDIA chip for a lot of the AI upsampling and stuff. So I'm sure NVIDIA has an app that they called Broadcast that they use that has nothing but chat, like noise cancellation and features like that. So I'm sure that it's probably got some of that tech in it. So yeah, you got 4 little things down at the bottom. I don't know if you could do more than 4. It seems like any more than 4, you would either be like crunching them up or squeezing your game in a way that probably wouldn't be great. But in addition to chat, in addition to real-time voice chat, you can also...
Yeah, you can share what you're playing.
Yep.
And so if you're all playing the same game, you can see what your other friends are doing. Also, if they're playing a completely different game, you can see what game they're playing versus what game you're playing. I will say in the demonstration video they showed, all the game footage from all the friends is choppy as all get out.
Oh, yeah. It's like 10 frames per second. I mean, it is not something that you would want to like. It wouldn't be good as like a viewing experience.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know if you can pick one of them and like make them full screen and just watch.
Well, you can replace it with your view with their view.
Oh yeah, they did, because they did talk about that. Yeah,
where you can go to someone's, pick theirs, and actually enlarge it so that you can kind of see what they're doing.
Yeah,
and they kind of made a thing where like in the Mario Kart world, someone got lost. And they're like, oh, well, let me see what you're doing on your screen, and they enlarged it, and like, oh, I know exactly where you are. If you go left here.
But at least according to this, it looks like it's still basically as choppy and low resolution as it was before. So, but yeah, so you could do that, and then also there's a there's a camera. There's a little camera on a pole that you can put there that will like look at you and stream your face either into a little bubble, or it looks like it's got like some real fucking 2015 ass background removal tech on it.
So you can have it either just be focused on you and nothing else, or it does the background removal and superimposes you over your footage that you're playing.
Yep.
You know, that's it's a little camera, and I think the camera is sold separately for $50.
$50.
$49.99, which is not bad, but you know, it's also that's the only real use for it, and I don't know if that's good use.
Well, I think that a lot of this comes down to a question that I want to put both to you and to the people that are listening, because when I watched this segment, I was like, this is fucking intolerable. The last thing in the world I want is to have a bunch of people just, I mean, I don't know. When I play games, I focus on playing games. And I know that I'm not normal. Like, I'm a little bit more single player focused, and I'm not interested in having everybody just chime in and watch my game and tell me stuff. But, like, I don't know. This whole experience just made my skin crawl when I watched it. I was like, "Oh God, why would I ever want to do that?"
Yeah, well, I thought it was funny because I felt like this was very on brand for Nintendo.
Yeah,
they come up with something that is not a new feature in any way, shape, or form,
right?
And they implement it, being like, "It's a new feature,"
right?
And it's implemented weird, and people make fun of it, and then either it gets used or it doesn't.
Yeah.
Like, then it turns out, like, people use it and they're like, oh, no, this is actually kind of cool, like, the way it's implemented, and we keep using it, and it becomes an important feature.
Right.
Or no one uses it and makes fun of Nintendo, and then it just goes away.
Yeah.
Nintendo, unlike other companies, seems to be very okay with presenting something and then it not working out the way they thought, and then just going, whatever, and abandoning it.
Yeah. I don't know. You know what it really seems like is it seems like a COVID feature. But that we would. Yeah. It seems like, you know, we can't see each other anymore, but we can all hang out on the game chat, right?
Yeah.
Like, but now I feel like that's not as necessary.
Well, it's also a thing where I feel like. So previously on the Wii U, I think it was, or even it might have even been on the Switch for a little bit. There was a partnership that Nintendo did with Twitch before it got bought. Before Twitch got, or not Twitch, Twitter. Twitter,
oh, right.
Before Elon Musk bought it.
Yeah.
And it never really did any work, and a lot of the stuff that Nintendo complained about was that Twitter didn't want to work with them to make it the way that they envisioned that it would work on their console.
Yeah.
And I think that burned Nintendo.
Yeah.
Like, Nintendo went, well, we can't work with any other companies.
We'll do it ourselves.
And I think they wanted to work with Discord. And they went, you know what? We don't want another Twitch in our hands. We'll just do it ourselves.
We'll just do it ourselves, yeah. Anyway, yeah, so that's game chat. So now we all know what the C button does. I got to remember that I feel like that I want this to be 30 minutes long, and it's an hour long, and it's got a lot of announcements in it. So from there, we got a little bit more information about the actual physical system itself. This is just kind of an overview about a few different things. I listed these down. You know, the screen is obviously bigger. They talked about this is one where they talked about the screen is 1080 instead of 720. It's 120 hertz. HDR. They talked about the mouse support. They talked about first they talked about that game share just briefly. Of some games out there, it looks like they're implementing a thing where only one person has to have it and up to 3 other people can connect to it without owning the game.
Yeah.
They have a few different games that they talked about, Mario 3D World and Clubhouse games and Odyssey and stuff. Yeah, so that's good. I mean, that's fine. So then they went into the hardware stuff. Bigger screen, faster screen, HDR, mouse support, with the little...
I gotta say, I did kind of bust out laughing when it said bigger screen.
Yeah.
Same thickness. And
Same
I'm like,
thickness.
And I was just like, that's what she said. Kind of.
Yeah. They talked about 3D speakers on the handset. We already knew this, but they've got a USB port on the top and the bottom now.
Which I think is smart.
Which is fine, yeah. The internal storage has been upgraded to 256 gigabytes. There's new like higher speed. Oh no, wait, that gets later. The one thing I was kind of interested in was the dock now has a fan to cool the system while
which
it's in the
I
dock.
felt like I thought the original Switch dock before it came out. I thought the original one had a fan in it.
You were ahead of your time,
and like I expected it, and then it just turned out it was just a plastic shell that served no purpose other than to dock your console.
Yeah.
But you didn't even really need to dock it because you could still connect it to a TV with just a proper cable.
Right.
Now I feel like the dock has a purpose so that it's not overheating. You put it in.
Yeah. You get a little bit more performance because you can push it because you can have active cooling.
I mean, and that's why I think they said the HDR support is only when docked.
Oh, okay, that would make sense.
So like, the HDR and 1080p 60 frames per second or 120 frames per second or something like that. They talked about that, but when it's docked, it's like, but it's undocked, it's only.
I think it's supposed to, HDR. No, I mean, I don't know. Maybe I have to go back and look because like part of when they were doing the little sizzle thing was like them showing it like on the actual switch.
But if I remember correctly, it was the big deal was that when it's docked, it actually is performing better, and that's why that fan is there because the system is running hotter.
Okay.
So it's there to cool the system down. Whereas if it's not docked, it still looks great. It's still 1080p.
Yeah.
But it's I think it's like less frames per. I think it drops it down to 60 frames per second instead of the normal 120.
Well, we'll see. We'll have to see. I mean, like we're still. They were cagey about a lot of different things, so
they were.
We'll find out later. Oh yeah, I did like the fact that apparently the SL and SR buttons are a little bigger on the individual Joy-Cons.
Yes,
and I think that's because they're made of metal. They're the thing that magnetically attaches the Joy-Cons to the side. That's pretty all right. Like I don't got any problem with that. Anyway, yeah, that's pretty much it for that. Oh yeah, I guess the kickstand is now a full stand that can be adjusted to different viewing angles. So yeah. Anyway, let's see. And if you want to find out more about the ins and outs of the Nintendo Switch 2, Nintendo has Nintendo Switch 2 Welcome Tour, which is a little game where you're a little guy on top of Nintendo Switch, and there's a little kiosk, and you can go up to them, and they'll be like, here's how the buttons work, and here's how this thing works, and they got a lovingly rendered giant Nintendo Switch that you can run around on as a little guy.
And it's a paid-for download.
And surely this is free, just like Astrobot, John. Surely this is
you got to pay for it. They haven't said what the price is.
$10.
Oh, it is 10?
$10.
They did? Okay, I did not see that.
Or I don't know. I mean, like that's what I read today. Like,
okay.
And I think that was like a conversion of a Japanese price. So it's possible that might not be accurate, but yes. What a like! Come on, guys! This is a promo thing. This is a promo toy for your new console. This is the sort of thing that should be included by default. Everybody should be getting this. It is $10.
Yeah,
like come the hell on.
Yeah, when I was like, all right, this is something you include with the console. It's fine, whatever. And then it was like it's a paid for download, and I was like, well, son of a bitch.
Yeah, we're gonna get into that hold on to that son of a bitch energy. We're gonna get into that quite a bit a little later. Let's see. From there, we got some more technical information. The Nintendo Switch 2 cards have a faster read speed. Keep that in mind. We're coming back to that. Micro SD Express card for storage expansion. So no, you can't use the cards from your Switch 1 on a Switch 2. And then they just briefly mentioned like a system transfer. I mean, everybody has that shit. They announced a Pro Controller, which looks suspiciously a lot like the regular Pro Controller.
Except it has 2 extra buttons on the back.
It has a GL and a GR programmable back button, a headphone jack, and the C button on it. And okay, that's fine, but like I didn't need any of that. It's weird to me to be like, oh yeah, we put 2 buttons on the back. I don't know why people keep trying to get me to use back buttons, John. Every game is formatted without needing to use the back buttons, so gooey. And then they announced the launch date. So we got June 5th, 2025.
Yeah, right before my birthday.
No price. We'll come back to that. Let's see. Then we had some kind of nebulous talk about a few different Nintendo Switch games and how they will work on the Switch too. This was Mario Party Jamboree, Zelda, and Kirby and the Forgotten Land, or Mario Party Jamboree plus Jamboree TV, Legend of Zelda and Zelda Notes, and Kirby and the Forgotten Land plus Star-Crossed World. Because it appears that at least for these 3 games, there are going to be Nintendo Switch 2 enhancements, but they're going to come with some paid DLC in order to run. You're not going to get it by default. You're going to need to purchase the upgrade in order to make them run.
This, unfortunately, I feel like confused a lot of people because people interpreted it as all Switch 2 games will require a paid-for expansion for the Switch 2 to play, which is not the case.
Yes.
It's only the game, specifically for now, the games that they mentioned, which I think 2 of them aren't even out yet, or one of them just came out and the other one's going to come out soon. Wait,
what?
Well, 2 of the games they listed, like the Metroid Prime 4 and like hasn't even come out yet.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
But so those games, there's essentially you can buy for the Switch 2 if you don't own them. You can buy them, the Switch 2 version of them, and it'll come with the base game and then the Switch 2 expansion set, which comes with, depending on the game you get, it comes with some extra stuff.
Yeah.
For Mario Party Jamboree, it comes with some new games that weren't previously available that use the new functions of the Switch 2.
Also, you can use the little camera things
you can use the
online.
camera with it.
You use mouse mini games and
but if you already own Mario Party Jamboree,
right,
all you have to buy is the expansion to play it on a Switch 2.
Yes.
You can still play, obviously, the base game on your original Switch, and you might be able to play the base game without the expansion on the Switch 2. I don't know. They weren't very clear.
That's the thing that's unclear at this point, because we'll just say this now and then come back to it. This is more like, give me your fucking money than I've ever seen Nintendo. Like, they've been it's going to be a theme throughout this of like, it's $10 for the welcome thing, it's $50 for the for this thing. Everything is more expensive. We'll get into that later on, but like I think that we could be looking at a situation, because a lot of people who have Breath of the Wild are going to want to play it on the Switch too, and I think that Nintendo seems like at this point that they're in this headspace of like, give me $10 for the upgrade.
Well, for the Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom, they actually did something that was pretty interesting that they didn't talk about in the video.
Yeah.
Which is, if you own those games already, whether it's digitally or physical, and if you have the Nintendo Online Plus expansion subscription, you actually get the upgrades for those 2 games for free.
Well, see, I wonder if that even is the case with these other ones too, because like the Animal Crossing had like a number of upgrades. There have been a number of Nintendo games that have had DLC that you get if you buy the expansion pack. So
I mean, as of right now, they said the only 2 Switch 2 expansions that you can get for free for the having a subscription to Nintendo Online Plus expansion is the Tears of the Kingdom and Breath of the Wild.
Okay.
So those 2, and I think the reason for that is those have the least.
They don't have any new content, really.
Yeah, they don't. Well, the
like
newest content
frames.
is the phone app, the integration with the phone app.
Right. We'll just get into that. I don't want to talk about Mario Party. I hate Mario Party. The phone app on Tears of the Kingdom is a weird, creepy thing that you can like. It's like a GPS that'll talk to you.
Yeah.
And then also, apparently, this is a weird thing to put on a phone app, because the Tears of the Kingdom should have had some kind of way, or I guess it did have some way of sharing out your creations that you made, but like here it's like a library where you can like subscribe to them and then get them in your game and yada yada. I don't know, it just seems really weird to tie all this stuff to a phone, especially when you've got this new console with all these like
using
features.
Your account, you can in the game turn it into a QR code that is sent to your phone, and then you can send that QR code to a friend, and then they use the app to scan the QR code, and then it tells their game how to to just create the thing that they made.
Yeah, real fucking fiddly. And then Kirby and the Forgotten Land has also a
new story DLC.
No story DLC. Yep. Oh, wait, did we already pass by that?
Yeah,
I passed by that real quick.
So, the 2 games that haven't been released yet are Pokemon ZX and Metroid Prime 4.
Right.
Those will have
higher
PS2
frame rates
versions, so like there'll be a version that's playable that's just the Switch.
Oh, yeah, I see the branding, the Nintendo Switch 2 edition.
Yeah, and then the Nintendo Switch. And also, I think if you buy the Nintendo Switch 2 edition and you have the first Switch, you can play sans the edition features, the Switch 2 edition features. You can play the basic version on your old Switch if you still use that.
Maybe. They did show that you can use the Joy-Cons in a kind of a mouse and keyboard setup for Prime 4 if you want. Looks
basically a mouse for like the visual moving around.
Yeah,
for a look like you would a mouse on a.
It's very weird. It's very strange to me.
It's very. In all honesty, if it wasn't mouse, it'd be motion controls.
Yeah,
they're just the Wiimote controls, but in a mouse format.
Okay. Let's see. From there, we got drag and drive. The idea of
fine
doing of having so you've got two mice. What are you going to use that for? And they basically made I don't know, what do you call those, like wheelchair basketball?
Yeah, basically wheelchair basketball.
Like extreme wheelchair basketball online with a bunch of folks.
3-on-3,
kind of what Rocket League-ish.
Yeah.
But yeah, so you use the motion controls to kind of move the wheelchair around, and then you use it to shoot the ball. I guess this is a very strange implementation, but
it's a very Nintendo implementation. I think it's cool because
reminds me of ARMS.
Yeah, a little bit.
The way that ARMS was like here. Buy this game and then learn how to use these things with it. So.
Yeah, like it's one of those that I expect it to be either this is going to be a cheap game, or like a free to play game kind of thing.
So by cheap you mean like $60?
No, less than that.
We'll come back to that. From there we got a partner sizzle reel. So as I had previously stated in an older previous podcast, one of the nice things about having a PlayStation or a Switch that can play modernish games is that you can port the entire last 8 years to it, and that appears to be what they're doing, because it started out by putting out by this kind of list of games. We're just gonna go through them real quick because we don't have time. Oh my god. Elden Ring Tarnished Edition with some new armor and some new stuff for torrent. Hades 2, Street Fighter 6, this was the weirdest one to me. A sequel to Demon Ex Machina called Demon Ex Machina Titanic Scion, which was like a mech game for the Switch or for the Wii U, maybe. I don't remember I don't remember. That was
Demon
a long
Ex
time ago.
Machina was a Switch title.
Was it just Switch? Okay.
Yeah.
Split Fiction, EA Sports FC, EA Sports Madden, Hogwarts Legacy, Tony Hawk Pro Skater 3 and 4, the Hitman World of Assassination game, and then our first teaser trailer for that 007 game.
Yeah.
Like here in the sizzle reel of the Nintendo Switch 2, I was like, come on, guys, you give this a little bit more pomp and circumstance. Then this was a big one, Bravely Default Flying Fairy HD Remaster, which I believe Bravely Default was 3DS only.
Okay.
Like there was Bravely Default 2 was on the Switch, but the original was just a handheld game. So a lot of people have wanted to play this because it was very, very well beloved, and up until now it was one of those things where it was like, just stuck on a harder to get to platform. And then the Yakuza 0 Director's Cut. So yeah, all those things are coming. From there, we got a brand new Zelda game.
Yes.
A brand new Zelda game. There's also a Hyrule Warriors.
It's a new Hyrule Warriors.
Hyrule Warriors, The Age of Imprisonment. In Tears of the Kingdom, some shit happens, and this is like, and then there was a Hyrule War that happened.
Well, they did the same thing with Breath of the Wild. There was the Hyrule Warrior. The first Hyrule Warriors for that was a prequel to Breath of the Wild.
Yep.
So,
and this is kind of like, I don't know, there's a lot of time travel shenanigans in Tears of the Kingdom. Sorry for the spoiler, but you've had a lot of time to play it. I'm not going to go into more detail than that, but this is like, there was a big empty gap about what was going on in a different time period, and this is the explanation. There was a big-ass war with Zonais and Ganons and mechs and deer dudes and just all kinds of craziness.
Yeah.
I wish I liked these more, because this would excite me more than it does. As it is,
That's
it's like,
fair.
This will be the third one, and I played the first two, and they were fine, but I don't know. I still can't bring myself to really get all the way into a Dynasty War, so I don't know. Are you interested in playing the new Dynasty Warriors Zelda game?
No, I'm fine.
Did you play the last Zelda game?
I did not play the last Hyrule Warriors.
No, I mean, did you play Tears of the Kingdom?
Yeah, I own Tears of the Kingdom.
Oh, okay. I wasn't sure. I don't think we ever discussed it.
I never finished it. Like I only got like halfway through it, but I did the same thing with Breath of the Wild. I get like half. That's kind of my MO with Zelda games, is that I play them and then I get about halfway in through them and I get bored and I lose interest.
There you go. That's about right. Okay, let's see. From there, we got the announcement of something that everybody has been wanting to happen for a long time, which is that Nintendo Online Plus Expansion Pack is going to have you some GameCube games.
I was very excited about this.
Yep. Yeah, I mean, like, it's
and I think they only announced 2 or 3 games. Three games.
Yeah, it was
start off with.
Wind Waker, Soul Calibur. And
Soul Calibur 2 was a big one for me. Like I was like, "Oh shit, Soul Calibur 2."
One with Link.
Yeah, I still have my copy of that.
And F-Zero GX, which, as I understand,
F-Zero
is very difficult and hard to come by. So that's a good one to
because it kind of came out near the end of the GameCube's life, if I remember correctly.
Yep. And then they showed, and then they said there's going to be more stuff coming, and they kind of had a little lineup of what Mario Sunshine, Fire Emblem, Pokemon XD, Mario Strikers, Chibi Robo, original Luigi's Mansion, Pokemon Coliseum. And then also, like they did with all the rest of them, there's a wireless GameCube controller that has the C button on it. It's just a wireless GameCube controller. So, yeah, I mean, that's great. I think that's another one that's been rumored for like the last 4 years and just hasn't showed up until now. So I often wonder if Nintendo is making any actual money on that, on the expansion pack. Like how many Nintendo users, how many Switch owners actually buy expansion pack every month? So
yeah, I mean I know I've never paid for the subscription with this expansion. Like I'm just the base Nintendo Online subscription. But that's because I don't really play my Switch that often, but I want to make sure I have online for when I do play it. And I would definitely get expansion for the Switch too, just based on what little they have
on the GameCube and potentially being able to get some of those upgrades depending. So that's a good deal. I like that. From there, we had our second partner spotlight, and this one had some more. Well, it had one more exciting thing to it, and that's Deltarune, the kind of, as I understand it, semi-sequel to Undertale, the Toby Fox thing. And right now, episodes 1 and 2 are out. So this is where they announced that episodes 3 and 4 are coming out, are imminently. I don't really know anything about Deltarune, so I have a hard time talking about it. I didn't even play Undertale, so I don't know. Looks Undertale-y. Looks sufficiently Undertale-y.
I know there are people that are really excited about it, so.
We also got Randy Pitchford as who wins the award for worst dressed person in this Nintendo Direct to announce Borderlands 4. Civilization 7 got an announcement, which I guess if you have a mouse makes a certain amount of sense.
Yeah. I was like, oh, I bet we're going to see more of these.
Yep. John, your favorite game of this year, WWE 2K 25 or whatever, is coming out. So now you can play. Any word on whether the island will be playable on the Nintendo Switch?
I have no idea, and I refused to. The last time they released a wrestling game on a Nintendo console, it was worse than 2K20.
Well, there you go. Wow, that's saying a lot. Let's see. This is a little weird because at this part in the live stream, it all screwed up.
Yes, that was actually a very annoying thing for me. Is that the live stream? I thought something was wrong, and like no, because the audio kept going.
Yep.
But the video stopped.
Yep.
And then like eventually, the video started over like a few minutes behind.
Right.
But the audio would never stop going.
And then it just hard cut.
And then it just hard cut at a transition.
Well, and I think I know why, because like the place that it hard cut to was like a big announcement. But what was funny is where they stopped were 2 games that were like new games. Survival Kids. Well, oh no, not new games. What I was trying to say is that like these games had a lot of like sound effects and not a lot of like telling you what the game was. This one, I think we got a little bit of it because this is like a 4-player online. You're a bunch of kids stuck on an island. You got to do crafting, survival, kind of cartoon stuff, little combat puzzles, stuff like that. That's fine. And then we got the announcement of Enter the Gungeon 2, which is actually a really big deal. I was kind of surprised at how many like indie game announcements were up in here. This one's 3D, which is cool. I mean, I liked the first one, not well enough to keep playing it, but I liked what I played of it. And then this is the one where I remember this was Star Seeker Astroneer Expeditions, which appears to be kind of a multiplayer-focused version of that Astroneer game.
Okay.
And this is one of the ones where the trailer for this has no voices and no voiceover, so it's just a bunch of sound effects. So I was looking at a locked-up screen, listening to these guys like walking around, hitting stuff, jumping.
Yeah, you just hear grr. You know.
I'm glad that the Astroneer team is still getting to do stuff. I liked that game, even though I never really went back to it. There's just too many games, too many fucking games. But yeah, this looks all right. This is an interesting one. Apparently, the Switch 2 is strong enough to play Cyberpunk.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely gonna be a scaled down, like graphic wise, a little bit.
Yeah. But I guess I think like this video doesn't look bad. Like this is definitely not as bad as like a lot of times when you see a modern game and it's put on the regular Switch. You're like, oh no, handheld mode maybe, but never in the dock. But I think that because Cyberpunk has spent so long interfacing with NVIDIA, especially with their upsampling and upscaling technology, like this looks like a good version. So, and then Final Fantasy VII Remake Intergrade. We got Final Fantasy VII back on Nintendo. So
is that Final Fantasy VII Intergrade? Is that the first one of the remakes?
Yes.
Okay.
Intergrade is the one that has the Yuffie DLC with it.
Oh, okay.
Like built in.
I haven't played any of the remake stuff, so I don't know what the different titles are for. Because I know like there's Final Fantasy VII Remake and then Final Fantasy VII something else.
Yeah,
and it's literally part 2 instead of calling it Remake Part 2 or something like that. They called it some other fucking weird ass name.
Rebirth.
Yeah,
I think of Final Fantasy VII Remake, then Final Fantasy Remake Intergrade, and then Final Fantasy VII Rebirth. I believe. Yes, you are not wrong to be confused as somebody who is not actively like engaged with those properties.
Because I also don't give a shit about Final Fantasy VII. So.
Oh, boy. Oh, we're running low on time. I've done it again. I've run out of time again, John. Okay, let's go through these real quick. This was a big montage. We got Kunitsugami, Path of the Goddess. We got Hollow Knight Silk Song.
Which was big. Because, a lot of people were excited for that.
Yep. But I don't know. That's some like Half-Life 3 Grand Theft Auto shit where the people that are into Hollow Knight are just like fucking obsessed with this. But yeah, with the 2025 release date. Story of Seasons Grand Bazaar. We saw it the last direct. Goodnight Universe, which appears to be some kind of you're a baby game. I don't know. 2 Point Museum. Wild Hearts. That was a weird one to me. Was Wild Hearts the Monster Hunter that EA made a little while back?
Okay.
Where you built a lot of boxes. Like you built boxes, and some of them would throw up in the air, and some were like trebuchets and stuff. It was very weird. Witchbrook, which we saw last time, Puyo Puyo Tetris 2S, Rune Factory, Guardians of Azuma, Marvel's Cosmic Invasion that was announced last. Oh god, that's gone so fast. If I skip forward, it's over. Marvel Cosmic Invasion, the beat 'em up, and then Star Wars Outlaws. But then they immediately went into another set. So we got Nobunaga's Ambition Awakening Complete Edition, Fast Fusion, which is some kind of racing game, Shadow Labyrinth, that Pac-Man thing, Raidu Remastered. We saw that last week. No Sleep for Kaname Date. We saw that last week. Reanimal. I wasn't totally sure what that was. Oh, that's the new one from the Little Nightmares team. Fortnite. Arcade Archives 2 Ridge Racer, Professor Layton in the New World of Steam, Tamagotchi Plaza, and Human Fall Flat 2. So yeah, that was it. We have 3 things left to go, John, but we have just hit 45 minutes. So I think what we're going to go ahead and do is take a break instead of rushing.
Well, the next three things, or at least one of them, we're probably going to spend some time talking about because it's you and me.
Yes. We'll probably spend some time talking about all of them. So stick around. We'll be back in just a minute, and we're going to finish this shit up. And then I don't know. I had like a whole other set of news. I don't think we're getting to much of that because I got a lot of feelings about this. So stick around. We'll do what we can. We'll see you in just a minute. And we're back.
Hey.
And we still have a few more announcements left to go on the Nintendo Switch 2 Direct.
On the hype train.
You were on the hype train. Choo-choo. Yeah, so this was an unexpected surprise. When the stream came back, we got a trailer. I thought this was going to be that vampire game that those ex-Witcher devs are doing.
Oh.
Because it was like, creepy dude in a chair. There was all this like moonlight and his hand and all this like nonsensical stuff. And then
it almost felt modern.
Yeah, a little bit. And then we saw the From Software logo, and I was like, oh, wait a minute. What? And then we saw definitely not Bloodborne. This is Schmorn. Because, I was thinking about this. Okay, listen, this is almost entirely like a Bloodborne game. Like,
it does kind of have elements of Bloodborne-esque.
The kind of the combination of like melee weapons and guns, like this kind of Victorian architecture, the kind of like heavy high contrast stuff and horror themes. I was like,
I like the guy in the giant armor that has a jetpack on it.
Yep, he's just like an automaton. But no, this is not Bloodborne because, well, I don't know. Bloodborne is owned by Sony, right?
Yes.
That's the reason we haven't had a Bloodborne. Everything about this screams Bloodborne.
Yes.
Except it's kind of weird because apparently this is called the Dusk Bloods, and I'm wondering. Part of me wonders if. So this is a multiplayer game. Or like a PvE or PvE game where you can summon your friends in.
Like I'll be honest, I haven't read much about this game outside of this trailer, and I know like places have listed it as a multiplayer game.
Yes,
but no one's really sure what that means. Like, is it multiplayer in the same way that Elden Ring and
Night Rain,
Night Rain is, or is it multiplayer in the way that all the Dark Souls and Bloodborne games are, and that you can get invaded and that you can invite.
From what I've read, this is multiplayer focused.
Okay.
Like, it's not just like it's got like multiplayer in the like in the description for it.
That disappoints me a little bit.
Well, okay, but here's the weirdest part of this. All right, okay, first off, I can't.
It's called the Dusk Bloods.
First off, this is fucking Bloodborne. Like, do you remember in Bloodborne there was like an emote that you could do that was like holding your hands up, and at the end of the trailer this guy is doing almost that exact thing.
Yes.
You've seen like the Victorian like nature of some of these places are just like, oh, I've been to that place in Bloodborne. That is Yarnum. Like, some of these weapons look very similar, and in all shapes and forms. I don't know how much you remember, but in Bloodborne there was the Vile Bloods.
Yes.
There was like a vampire sect in Bloodborne, and I was like, oh, this is like a prequel about the Vile Bloods and like how they came to be, and then what happened to them as they fell, and then the end of their story, Pyramid Head fucking hacks up the queen. But it's not, and so there's a few things that I have to say about this. One, when I looked at it, it said like it specifically said in one of the trailers, I think it's in the it's not in this one, but it's in the actual just trailer they posted, where it says like this is a Hidetaka Miyazaki game.
Yeah.
Like it calls him out specifically, which is weird because Night Rain is not him. Like it's a different director. But then looking at this makes me wonder if what happened was that during a prototyping phase, From Software made this game and then went to try to sell it to Sony, and Sony was like, no, we're focused on live service games. We don't want these games. And they were like, okay, And they're like, well, we built all these PV. Because Night Rain is very different than Elden Ring, right?
Yeah.
Like, it's very much more action focused. It's more of like a Bloodborne style game where there's a little bit more automation. Everything is more simplified. So it's almost like, okay, well, Sony didn't want it. What if we took these systems that we've been developing and working on and we made it into an Elden Ring thing instead?
Yeah.
And then they did. And then Nintendo came to FromSoft and they said, we want something for the Switch 2.
Now, is it confirmed that this is exclusive to the Switch 2?
Yes.
Okay.
I
wasn't 100% sure on.
Right now, I believe so. Okay, so the description of the actual video that's on YouTube of this, like the actual trailer, says, the moon tears will flow for one and one alone when the dust bloods. A brand new multiplayer game by From Software is coming exclusively to Nintendo Switch in 2026.
Okay.
So, like, everything that I'm seeing here, like the trailer even says, like, available only on the Switch 2.
Okay.
So, like, the thing is that what I wonder is that if then, in my little headcanon, right, then Nintendo came to FromSoft and they were like, everybody else has some FromSoft love. Give us some FromSoft love. And they were like, well, we do have this Bloodborne game. Like, well, we can't have a Bloodborne game because that's Sony. And they were like, okay, we'll just file the serial numbers off and this will be...
Call it something else.
Bloodborne at Home. It's called the Dusk Bloods. Not the Vile Bloods, which was probably the original title, but the Dusk Bloods. And we'll put, like, I don't know, some other people in there. But, like, motherfucker, this is a Bloodborne game, for God's sake.
Yeah.
And the idea that that From Software is putting out two, not just multiplayer compatible, but multiplayer focused games back to back between this and Night Rain, it's like, oh. So that's my thought. The game itself looks okay. Like, the character models are a little bit, they seem a little bit rougher than and that may just be because I play Elden Ring in 4K and shit, right? But, like, they just seem a little bit less detailed. The environments seem like a little bit less, more of that early PS4 clutter style, like Bloodborne was, than like the kind of the way that Elden Ring is. But even some of the open areas here look like Elden Ring. I don't know. I've talked a lot. John, you've watched me play every From Software game. You got any thoughts on this?
I saw it. I was like, oh, Jeff's going to be excited about this. I'm excited to play this.
Yeah.
I wonder if it'll have camera support so that when we're playing multiplayer, we can, like, see little bubbles of our faces as we're playing together.
You know what I wanted to do is in that Inzoi game has a thing where it looks at your face, but then it maps like a VTuber. That's what I want. I want to be able to have my facial expressions in the game so that most of the time I'm just slack-jawed and every so often my guy goes, what the fuck, man? This is so fucking weird. Like, it's so weird. It's also really weird to me that the Nintendo got, like, there's additional content in that Elden Ring that's coming there. They even said that they're putting that content out in the main game. And yet, no Armored Core. No fucking Armored Core. So
give it time.
Yeah. Also, that guy turned into a T-Rex with people legs is pretty cool.
People legs and tiny arms.
Yep, tiny arms. Yeah, I don't know. This is very weird. I want to know more. Desire to know more intensifies. I'm a little disappointed that it's going to be multiplayer because I'd rather them just do... I think that they do best when they do single player, but whatever. Okay, and then let's finish up with two quick announcements. That's the trailer for the... Oh, I closed my other one. Okay, well, that's all right. I can open it back up again. Kirby is back. We got a new Kirby game.
Yeah, it's a sequel to a game that a lot of people really wanted a sequel to.
A GameCube game, as I understand it. So Kirby Air Riders. I feel like they had to put, at the end of the trailer for Kirby Air Riders, they put, like, directed by, what's his face?
Oh, God, I can't remember his name.
Sakurai, Mr. Sakurai. So, and it's like, oh, okay, so that's what he's been doing. But this is also a little weird because, as I understand it, this is a Mario Kart, right?
Yeah,
this is like a racing game with Kirby.
It's just a kart racer.
So you got two kart racers. You got the Kirby one and the Mario one. Okay, sure. I don't know. Kirby and me are like, we're fine, but we don't like hang out or anything. So, I don't know. Does this do anything more for you than the Mario Kart?
I never played the original Air Ride, so I can't say. Like, I still haven't played the last Kirby game that came out.
Oh, the one with the weird post-apocalypse thing?
Yeah.
Well, you can play on the Switch 2 with the expansion.
Yeah.
And then last but not least, we got the announcement of a new Donkey Kong game. Donkey Kong
looked good.
Bonanza. Like a banana. Bananas.
And he has a little bit of a character redesign.
Yep. A little bit of character redesign. This is also the first time I've seen Donkey Kong in a long time in a... not a side scroller, right? This is like a third person.
The first Donkey Kong third person 3D game.
Yep. And it appears that this is focusing a lot on like destructible terrain.
Yeah.
Like you can kind of bash your way through rocks and stuff. You can pick up parts of the ground. You can throw them. Seems to be a kind of semi-open world game. Yeah, Donkey Kong looks a little different than they did before.
He's got pants.
Yeah, it seems like a third person action game. You got a little rock buddy on his shoulder. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I've never been the biggest Donkey Kong fan in the world, but like, this seems all right. Like, Nintendo usually makes fun games.
Yeah. Well, from what I understand, this game is being made by the same team, by the Mario team.
Oh, okay.
So this is why there's not a Mario game at launch.
This is
because they were working on this.
Okay. All right.
So I'm all for it. Because I really like the games that the Mario team has been making, so I am totally down to play this. This is.
It also looks like there's some stages that are kind of Donkey Kong Country-ish.
Yeah.
Like they kind of move to a side scroller thing. I don't know. A lot of rocks, a lot of rock monsters, rock bananas, just Donkey Kong punching stuff and stuff's blowing up. So, yeah, I don't know. It's okay. I don't know. This one doesn't do a whole heck of a lot for me, but
I think it looks great.
But yeah, I could definitely see. I like the title. I like the pun in the title. I like the bonanza. And it does look pretty cute. And that's coming. What was that? April, May, June, July 17th.
Yeah, July 17th.
So, yeah, and that was a Nintendo Switch 2 presentation.
Yeah, they did say that there would be two versions of the Switch 2 release. There'd be the standalone, you just get the console, nothing else, and then there's the bundle version, which comes with Mario Kart World.
Yes, which will become very important because keen-eared listeners may have noticed that at no point during that presentation did they mention the price of the Nintendo Switch 2. But we know the price of the Nintendo Switch 2.
Yeah, because they put it on their website like immediately afterwards.
Yep. $450 for the base console and $500 if you want to buy it with the Mario Kart on launch.
Yeah. And you might want to buy it with Mario Kart if you're wanting Mario Kart.
Yes.
Because as stated, the Mario Kart-less one, meaning the one without it, costs $450. And Mario Kart also got its price announced.
Yes.
Mario Kart World is $80 digitally, $90 physically.
Yes.
So buying it for $500, you are getting a discount.
Oh boy. Okay. All right. So now we're just gonna go down a few of these things real fast, and then we're gonna actually talk about most of the rest of this because there's still a lot of news. That was the presentation, and then there was a lot of follow up. So we started with the price. And the release date. We knew that was in there, June 5th. One thing to quickly note is that Best Buy is actually opening up their stores for midnight launch, June 4th at midnight.
Okay.
So if you pre-order at Best Buy, you can go line up at midnight like you used to, which they don't really do as much. Nobody really does that anymore.
Yeah.
Which is nice. I've done that a few times. It can be kind of fun.
Yeah.
Usually it's just a bunch of people standing around going like, "Come on."
Yeah. The only problem is it's June.
Yep.
In Texas.
Yep. It's hot at night. Also, as previously mentioned, Nintendo is taking pre-orders on their website. However, you did note that they start May 8th, but they also have some strange restrictions. Specifically, there are 3. And wait till I get to all 3 before you say whether or not you think this is bullshit. So 1, you must have been the one who purchased any Nintendo Switch Online membership. So you have to have a Nintendo Switch Online membership.
Yes.
2, you must have had any paid Nintendo Switch Online membership for a minimum of 12 months. So you had to have that. And that was before like the moment that this happened, that all got cut off, right? So you can't do it now, between now and then. And then 3, you must have opted in to share gameplay data and have at least 50 hours total gameplay
50 plus hours, yeah.
of shared gameplay information.
Which is fine because I meet all those criteria.
Oh, do you?
Yes.
Okay. I don't know. I turned that game sharing thing off where it's just like, well, I didn't fucking know that. Like, what does that require? I don't like sharing my data back to central servers.
This is basically Nintendo saying we're going to sell it and we're going to restrict.
We're trying to get rid of scalpers.
Get rid of scalpers. Yeah.
We want you to be like a tried and true customer. Okay. As previously mentioned, Mario Kart, $80 digital, $90 physical. Also, wasn't there a second one? I thought there was a second one. Oh, maybe not. But they did note that Donkey Kong Bonanza is $70 digital. So this is not all Switch 2 games, not even all first-party Switch 2 games. But $80 is a sticker shock, man. It
is a bit. But, I mean, that's kind of... It's also, I think it is sticker shock, but I also think it's a weird sticker shock.
Yeah.
Because this is not the first time a video game has been released for $80 within the last 2 years. Most of them have been Microsoft and Sony, and not special editions, just regular fucking versions of them have been $79.99.
Really?
This is not the first time. This is the first time Nintendo has done it, but because Nintendo games don't depreciate in value over time, like all of the Mario games that have been released within the last 5 years are still $59.99. People are pissed because now they can't wait 5 years or wait a year and get it at a like $20.
Correct me if I'm wrong. I'm sorry. I'm not trying to put you on the spot or anything, but what games have been $80 for just the basic edition?
Pretty much,
because I buy most of them digitally new, and they've all been 70. I mean, a lot of the newer stuff has been 70. Are they 80 like physically?
Yeah.
Or I didn't realize they were more physically. Because I buy just most of my stuff these days. I buy digitally. So. Are they so that
prices have been creeping up and all around when it comes to consoles, and everyone has been waiting for GTA to come out because they know that they're going to release it and go, it's $100 at its base price and then also every game has the basic version, obviously the digital version is $69.99, but the base version is $79.99, and then if you want the deluxe version, that's $89.99. And then the
premium edition is $107,000. Yeah. No, I get
every game has like 6 different versions of it that make it more expensive, and yes, you're getting extra content with that, make it more expensive.
Yeah,
but like I said, this is something that's been happening for a while in the industry.
The only pushback that I have for Nintendo specifically is what you mentioned, where it's like, if you guys want to sell your games brand new for $80, that's your fucking business. All right. If the market will bear it, the market will bear it. Like it's not up to me. I don't want to pay more money. I don't want to pay more money for anything ever. John, I want everything to be free all the time. I don't give a shit.
Yeah, I think that stuff should be cheaper. I think $80 is a high price. Don't get me wrong. I'm not.
I want Nintendo to do what everybody else does and have a spring sale where 5-year-old games are $20.
I agree.
Right? Like, I am sick and tired of Nintendo treating Super Mario Odyssey like it's a brand new video game. It is not. Like, you should not be spending $60 on Super Mario Odyssey, not even on a new copy. Like, games depreciate over time. All of them do. Fucking PC games, PS5 games, Xbox games, they all get cheaper if you wait longer, except for Nintendo, because
Nintendo first-party games.
Yeah, people still buy them. And I think that that's some bullshit. Now, I would be really more than willing to be like, if you guys want to ask for more money for your first-party games, that's your business. But if you want to do that, I want to see some indication that, like, hey, all of the price of everything is going up, and not all of us have $80 to spend on your video games.
No, you're not wrong.
Especially because we also got the news that some, not all, but some of the carts, of the $90 like physical edition carts, will not have anything inside of them, will not have any game data on them.
Yeah.
They will have a code, and when you put that code in, then it downloads the game. You have to be online for it to do, and once it's authenticated, you can go offline and you can take the cart in and out, but that there is no data on the card.
Yes.
And so the idea of spending an extra $10 to get an empty SD card full of no data is I mean, like I just said that I buy most of my stuff digitally, so that's not really a big deal for me. But a lot of people, I think you're one of them, right? Like to buy physical.
I do like to buy physical versions
copies
of games,
so that you don't have to worry about it. Oh, the internet goes down.
As someone who has bought physical copies, Nintendo is not the first to do this.
Well, sure.
There are fucking CDs on the PlayStation 5 and PlayStation 4 and Xbox Series X that have little to no data on the fucking discs.
Yep.
And when you put the disc in, it requires you to connect to the internet to download the full fucking game.
Right, but just to the other side of that coin is that Nintendo up until now has been a little bit has not engaged in as much of this.
I know
as what's going on.
Nintendo
has been seen as more of a friendlier entity. Like, all of us are used to getting fucked by Square Enix, right?
Yeah.
But like this is one of these times where like you start to look, and we're not all the way to the end yet, but we're pretty close to the end. So you're adding all of this stuff up together with the price tag and the cards and like the expanded price point and paying for the DLC and paying for the welcome thing and blah 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 blah, and the whole thing comes together to be like this is a little bit more of a cash hungry Nintendo. Usually Nintendo has been pretty good about being like, we're trying to put this at a price point where people can afford it because we want people to be able to play video games. We're trying to be fair with this stuff, and this feels like they've pushed that meter more towards the like give me your fucking money end of the scale.
So I will say, as someone who has a lot of the single complaints that people have about a lot of this stuff, I feel like people are raging a little bit too much.
Sure.
I don't think the rage is unwarranted.
Sure.
I want to make that very clear. I don't think being upset is unwarranted.
Yeah.
I do think people are making a bigger deal about it than because a lot of people, again, are acting like this is the first time this has ever happened and Nintendo is pulling some shady shit that only Nintendo has ever pulled and no other company out there does this.
Sure.
They are just doing the same thing that every other fucking company has done.
Well, but
be mad at those other companies too. That's great. I'm happy if you are.
Yeah.
But don't act like this Nintendo is the first to ever do this and the only one that's doing it.
I mean, also, I'm not trying to fight you or anything. I'm just like thinking about the.
Oh no, I know you're not trying to. I'm more saying these things to the listener who is going to come in the comments and be like, "John, you're a fucking moron, and here's why."
Well, so and then I think that part of it is like you do sometimes get an extreme sense of disappointment when everybody is pulling some shady shit, and yet you got the one company that you can trust that's been having a pretty good, you get a pretty good deal from them. Yes, there are some caveats. No, it's not always the thing. Like the fucking their online has been garbage. That weird like credit system where you can get the two. That was a weird thing. All this is very weird. And it's just very disappointing when it's like, oh, the one place that I thought that I could get away from these tactics is now engaging in the same thing, and now I've got to watch my ad. Now you can't. What can you trust? Like certain indie devs on Steam.
And going back to the price point of the games being, like you said, the Mario Kart game is $80 digital, $90, and then like the Donkey Kong game I think you said was $70, and then $80 physical. So not every game is going to be priced with that. I think it's going to be on a scale, and not every game is going to be no game on the cartridge.
Yes.
It's download only. I think that's going to be like, I bet you anything, while I think it's possible it could be on the cartridge, I'm pretty sure Cyberpunk probably will be one of these.
Download? No, actually. This particular story actually confirmed that the Cyberpunk card will come on a game card with 64 gigabytes of data on launch. So I think that some of them are going to be put. Also, I had this other thought is that it's very possible that by sticking to carts, this is wrought, right? Like that you have to, it's more expensive to buy a high like a high storage cart than it is to just like Blu-rays or Blu-rays or Blu-rays or Blu-rays. How much is on a Blu-ray. You can manufacture those. It's not as big a deal. But by having these little bespoke carts, it's like, well, if this is going to have like a lot of data on, if this Final Fantasy VII Intergrade has like a 200 gig install, then like it's going to cost way more to make that as far as just a stack of memory goes than CDs. Now, I don't think that's fucking fair. I think if that's the case, they should have come up with a better way to do that or whatever. But you are correct. And then also I do like on Nintendo's website, they put out this thing where the box that the boxes that have a cart that doesn't have data on it have a big thing at the bottom that says game key card, and it explains the whole thing. Like, so it's clearly marked. It's not as much a bait and switch. Still sucks, but not a bait and switch.
Yeah. I also feel like there's a lot of weird confusion over everything that got announced.
Yeah.
Like that people are thinking that all games are going to be game key cards.
Right.
Thinking that all Switch games are going to require to pay money to play it on their Switch too.
Right.
You know,
and they're all going to be $80. They're all going to be $80.
Yeah, they're all
no,
like, it's like, no, it you know, don't. Here's the thing: you don't want Mario Kart World, and you didn't want to buy just the base console without a game, and you don't want to buy Mario Kart World because of its price, then don't.
Sure.
That'll tell Nintendo.
Yeah. I mean, that's the gamer's dilemma, right? Is that if you're a really big fan of Mario Kart and you don't like this, then you have to be able to say to yourself, I'm not going to buy that.
Yeah.
Like, I'm going to try my best personally to make this a failure. We've seen that sometimes that works, sometimes it doesn't. You know, sometimes enough momentum comes out that people are just like, I'm not spending $80 on Mario.
Yeah. You have to decide whether that's worth it to you or not.
Mario Kart will probably do okay just because people will probably buy the $500 bundle.
Yes.
Like, I'm going to buy the $500 bundle
same here.
to do exactly that. We also, though, got a story about the list of... So not every single Switch game is going to run on the Switch 2. And we got lists, like a few lists. We've got games. So we've got Nintendo Switch games with startup issues on the Nintendo Switch 2. We got a list of games with Switch games that will start up on the Nintendo Switch 2, but include some in-game compatibility issues. Now, none of these lists, there's like 100 games on one list and like 50 or 60 on the other. This is not like a final thing. This is just like it is stated specifically that they're working on this. I would not be surprised if this is a tweaking and tuning thing.
Kind of like with what Microsoft did for the Xbox and making it backwards compatible, where not everything was backwards compatible 100%. But then eventually they start adding more backwards compatibility as time went on.
Yes. And so some of that may be up to the developer, some may not. There's some weird stuff in here because, like, you know, you got stuff like Fall Guys. And it's like, well, Fall Guys isn't technically... Like that isn't a hard game to run, right?
Yeah.
Like you can run that with a pretty modest PC. So it's got to be something else. There's got to be some other weird thing, and it can't be controls because you got the same clip. Like Mega Man Legacy Collection, like, well, there's no way the Switch 2 doesn't have enough hardware to run the Legacy Collection of, you know, NES games. But a lot of these say like this issue is being investigated. So we'll see if this list changes. I'm also not about to go out there and be like, this is all final. Your favorite game isn't going to be able to run. Maybe,
but at least they're being upfront about it.
They are being upfront. Yep. More like the Switch or the Steam Deck, right? Where you have Steam Deck certified games, so you have a list. There's also, I don't know, we'll just run down some of this real fast. Like, there was a report that the battery time on the Switch 2 was going to be 2 to 6.5 hours, which actually is the least, like, that 2 number is the lowest minimum in all of the Switches. Like, the base Switch was 2.5, and then, like, the Switch Lite was 3, and then once you got up to the OLED, it was, like, 4.5, and then the newer versions of just the regular Switch were also 4.5. So, but... This is another one where I would like to say that it is worth noting that when the Nintendo Switch launched, its battery ate battery quickly, and Nintendo actually did come out with a couple of patches that made it last longer.
Yeah.
Like when it launched, like especially Tears of the Kingdom apparently just like boop, like knocked out batteries pretty quick. So also, though, you know, you've got twice as many pixels to run, and you've got some kind of AI bullshit in there to run, so it's going to be a more power-hungry unit.
Yes.
Yep. And I think, let's see, one more story. There's some new amiibos coming. So there's Tears of the Kingdom amiibos and some Street Fighter 6 amiibos are coming.
Yeah, they said in the press conference when they announced Street Fighter 6, they also had said, and some amiibos will be coming.
Yeah, 3 amiibos, and then there's going to be, these are the amiibos are the champions from Tears of the Kingdom.
Yeah.
And there's going to be like an oversized one. There was like a character later on, Mineru's construct that you get. That is going to be like one of the bigger ones. So anyway, that was mostly the Nintendo Switch 2 conference. Again, I have real mixed reactions because the The price tag is a little higher than I wanted.
Yeah, the price was reasonable. It was that weird scaling of it's you hear it and you're like, that's reasonable, but it's still more than I was expecting.
I would have rather seen a $350 to $400 than a
I think people were
$500.
expecting $399.
Yeah.
I think that's the one people were expecting it to be $399
with the pack in.
I don't know if people expected a pack in. I just thought the base $399 and then And then, probably with a pack in, that would be the, $450.
Yeah.
Or whatever. But.
And then there's, I don't know. I read an article that was talking about how, like, the board of, like, Nintendo has way more investors than they used to.
Yeah.
Like, over time, especially with the pandemic, their sales went out of control. They exploded, right, with people staying at home. Everyone to play Animal Crossing. And that there's been a lot more foreign investment in Nintendo. There's also been a lot more changes in their management staff.
Yeah.
And that very likely what you're seeing here is the pull of the stockholder, I want more returns on my investment, fighting with Nintendo's ultra conservative, we want to make slow moves to do stuff.
Yeah.
And what we probably ended up with, like I said, is I think they've gone a little further in the money hungry direction than I would have expected for this.
Yeah.
Like, we didn't even talk about it, but like what the Pro controller is like $90.
The Pro controller, if I'm not mistaken, is $79.99. Like it's $80.
$80. But like replacement docks are now more
those
expensive.
are $100.
Like $100 because they got a fan in them.
Yeah.
The individual Joy-Cons cost more. I mean, like there's $50 for the
the
camera.
Joy-Cons are like $100.
Yeah, it's all way more expensive, and I think that that's not necessarily. See, I think both you and I are old enough to remember when Nintendo used to be competing in the same market as Sony and Microsoft, when a GameCube cost about as much as, well, a little bit less than an Xbox. But like, it's weird because they've been like the budget one, and now we're creeping up towards the same price tag as a base PS5 and Xbox. Not to be PS5 Pro is $700.
I've seen some people that after a bunch of the announcements, they're like, "Fuck this! I'm getting a Steam Deck," and I say, "Get it."
Yep.
If that's what you feel, get it.
A lot of people said, what did they say? They said Nintendo Switch 2 that says Switch 2 PC, where I can get a lot of cheap games.
Yeah, so I can get a Steam Deck that has a bunch of games that are not going to be $80 that I buy digitally.
Sure.
And it's like, hey, that's fine. Get them. Get a Steam Deck. Like I would personally like to have a Steam Deck. Would I still buy a Switch 2? Yes, because I'm a gamer and I like owning all the consoles. Though I still don't own a PS5. But
there you go. And also, it is worth remembering. It's also worth remembering, people remember, Nintendo does have a track record of success and then failure and then success and then failure. The Wii U was a failure. That was not a commercially viable system. The Wii was a huge success. The GameCube was not the best selling in that time. Like, there have been, good times and bad times with Nintendo. Yeah. And what we probably hit right now, and the question that I have more than anything is like, I'm going to buy one because you guys at patreon.com/RageSelect give me the money to be able to buy this stuff so we can check it out and we can help you decide whether you want to buy them. But if people don't buy it, then Nintendo will have their answer. No, like people think of Nintendo as more of a budget system and they don't feel like they're going to want to pay this amount, if, like you said, if Mario Kart or, I don't know pick something else that's $80. There's a new Mario game that's $80 in 2 years, right? And it just doesn't sell at all. Like, well, there you go. You have your answer, Nintendo. So, it is just a little weird because that whole conference was like, no, there's not a new Mario game. No, there's not a new Zelda game. Here's just a lot of, there's a Zelda Hyrule Warriors game. There's a Mario game, but it's a Donkey Kong game. Like, here's another Mario Kart game.
We're finally releasing Metroid Prime 4, but it's also being released on the regular Switch as well.
Yeah. There's just a lot of stuff. And like, hey, you know what? I think a Switch that looks a lot better than the current Switch is I've been waiting a long time for that.
Yeah.
I want to play games at 60 frames per second. I want them to look nice. I want to play them 4K.
Yeah.
I like that shit. So.
Agreed.
Yep. All right, John, we have 12 minutes and a lot of tabs open. I want to see what we can do here. We're going to go full-on lightning round.
I have no idea what tabs are coming up or what news stories you're going to talk about, but I am here to listen and give my opinions, my uninformed opinions on them.
All right, let's try to go through these super fast. Nintendo launched that app last week where they had news, and one of the first things they put out was the release date of the live-action Legend of Zelda game, and that is March 26, 2027. So,
you mean movie?
Movie.
You said game.
Not game. Movie.
I was like, we don't need another live-action Zelda game.
No, I want another one. Let's see. Speaking of movie news, SAG-AFTRA has come out and given their blessing for striking actors to work on game jams and with students.
Okay.
So to prevent them from, just doing that kind of stuff. Like, no, that has nothing to do with what they're striking against. So a nice little olive branch. Bethesda devs are maybe about to strike because they have their union, and apparently the negotiations about, especially the QA testers, return to work, and they're demanding return to work, and they're not coupling that with a large enough pay increase to justify it.
Okay.
So there's a very good possibility that they have authorized a strike, which just means that they can do it. So we'll see if they do. It'll be interesting to see. I don't think there's anything imminently coming out from Bethesda that this would affect, but we'll see.
The next Elder Scrolls game?
But that's like 2 years away.
Yeah.
They could still probably... Plus, everybody knows that Elder Scrolls games don't have QA done on them.
Good call.
Let's see. In other Xbox news, Xbox teased a handheld.
Yeah, they've been teasing that for a while.
They have been. This is the first one that had a very brief trailer where they showed off. This is basically... what this seems to be is an ROG Ally with like official Xbox face buttons and some Xbox branding and probably some built-in Xbox software. This is not the one that Microsoft is making. That is slated for 2027. So, but in the meantime, if ASUS wants to slap all your branding on their shit and put the Microsoft logo on it, who's Microsoft to say no?
Yeah.
So yeah. In other Microsoft news, Call of Duty players are unhappy. This is due to a change that makes it a lot easier for console players to play console-only Warzone matches.
Okay.
And so PC players are like, it takes a long-ass time to get into a match, and by giving people a much easier way to opt out of the full pool of people that includes PC players, it means that there's a good chance that they are not going to be getting into matches anytime soon.
So PC players are upset that console players don't want to play with them.
Yes. But who can say? I mean, this is a settings change, so whether people even realize that it's there is a question.
Okay.
But
I that's a weird one. That's weirder than the fact that Jay and Silent Bob are in Call of Duty.
Oh yeah, I didn't even get that this week, but that was a weird one. Let's see. Warhammer 40K, the dev of Warhammer 40K, Space Marine 2, came out this week to assure players that, because they just announced Space Marine 3, a lot of players have said, oh, that means you're going to be shifting your production focus to Space Marine 3 and not doing as many updates for Space Marine 2, because Space Marine 2 has been very well supported since its launch with more additional content. They came out to assure people that no, that is not the case. They have a brand new class, a brand new melee weapon, and a bunch of new stuff that's on the way. They also pointed out the thing that if anybody who knows anything about game dev knows, that they are in the early stages, which is just a lot of like talking about it and whiteboards and skunkworks and stuff, and not like yanking programmers and
what
artists.
Should the story be about?
Yeah. So don't have to worry just yet. Let's see. Hogwarts Legacy was going to have a DLC. That DLC was canceled. From reading between the lines here, it sounds an awful lot like that DLC was being made in conjunction with some of the devs over at Rocksteady, and that we had that story about a month ago that when Rocksteady is now prototyping into another Batman game, that they've got them back in the bat. Mm-hmm. So I think there's a good chance that they looked at their profits from Hogwarts Legacy and they went, why bother? Put it out on the Switch 2 and ring the money bell Also, this is Warner Brothers. And as near as I can tell, Warner Brothers doesn't know how to even run their own business at all.
Yeah.
So making boneheaded moves is just par for the
Warner
course.
Brothers has been making a lot of boneheaded moves when it comes to movies and stuff.
It's just a Tuesday at the old WB.
Zaslav, damn yous.
Even though I think they said that they were getting the Warhammer or the Wile E. Coyote movie is actually getting a release.
They sold the rights to it to Catch Up Entertainment, which is another company.
Yeah, I've never heard of them before.
And the rumor is that they're going to release it for free.
Okay,
that's the rumor I heard.
Cool.
I don't know where that comes from or what, but sure. I actually want to see the movie because I've heard nothing but good things about it.
Me too. Let's see. We had another news story that was a little strange. This was a leak from like a pitch deck from over at ZAUM before they dissolved into 5 different development teams that are all making the next Disco Elysium. Did you ever play Disco Elysium?
I played it a little bit with you on the dojo.
Okay. So I don't know if you remember, but one of the characters in there was called Kuno. And he was like a foul-mouthed little kid that just yelled expletives at you, and he had also a little girl in like a dumpster behind him that was even more foul and would just scream at you. Apparently, their first idea for a spin-off game to Disco Elysium was going to star those two. It was going to be the 2 vulgar children, which apparently you can choose in Disco Elysium to either develop your relationship with Officer Kim, your partner, or with this young kid. I did the one, so I don't know anything about Kuno. He was just like kind of a piece of shit. Cunio, whatever his name is. But that's interesting. It's kind of an interesting take on that.
But it was canceled, so that game's never...
Yes, that game's never coming out. That whole team is just dissolved to the winds. Baldur's Gate 3, there was a Stardew Valley mod for Baldur's Gate that added Baldur's Gate 3 characters and romances and stuff into Stardew Valley. The guy that did this worked a long time on it and was going to do more updates. Last week, it got DMCA'd by Hasbro. This was after Sven Vinke was on Twitter talking about how cool he thought it was. But the good news is that apparently, not sure why this happened, but it got released because it was basically on Nexus Mods and it got taken down as like, we're reviewing this. And then it finally got put back up again. So... which is a good move on your part, Hasbro. Please do not jerk around with the fans of Baldur's Gate. They are crazy. So, let's see. In other kind of legally news, this is a story that I'm following very closely. There is a company called HK10 Tree that Square Enix paid to make a Front Mission online, or a Front Mission phone game, tactics phone game. Apparently that development fell through, and then they basically announced a game called Metal Storm that looked an awful lot like a Front Mission game. And 3 weeks ago, Square Enix was like, we are suing you. Here are the comparison screenshots that shows what you did. You just like put a red stripe on one of those guys, and then we're like, it's our own IP. Which sucks because I actually really want to play this game. It looks pretty cool. But apparently the developer has come out and acknowledged that they are working on it, and they're working on basically swapping out any offending designs or art or whatever. Okay. So hopefully that'll come out at some point. This is something we'll have to talk about more on a later date, but Ubisoft is doing their spin-off thing. Tencent, they've been looking for... The question was, is Ubisoft going to get purchased? And a few weeks ago we learned no. What they're doing is they're spinning Assassin's Creed, Far Cry, and Rainbow Six Siege out of Ubisoft into a second subsidiary company that is getting $1.25 billion of investment via Tencent, will still remain at the top, owned by the Guillemot family and answerable to them. But I have a feeling, knowing what I know about Tencent, that part of that board of directors is going to be Tencent, like telling them, we want to we want ROI over here, right? But it does seem very weird that we're seeing Ubisoft crack off their most successful part and put it in a whole other basket.
Yeah.
Like, what the fuck happens to regular Ubisoft? Is it just a Just Dance studio from now on? Just Dance and Prince of Persia? That's all we get.
Maybe get some Rabbids.
Yeah, maybe some more Rabbids.
Return of the Rabbids.
More Rabbids. We got the report. These are just some good news stories. Monster Hunter Wilds sold 10 million copies in its first month.
Oh, good for them.
Which is big because it took Monster Hunter Rise, the Switch one,
and
on PC. It took like its entire lifespan to hit 30 million. So like the fact there, no, I think it outsold that one. I think I was actually thinking about the one before that. Anyway, it's a great start in 1 month to sell 10 million copies. And it's especially great for a more bespoke franchise like Monster Hunter.
Yeah.
So, additionally, we got the news that apparently Atomfall, Rebellion Games' weird kind of British open world game, had 1.5 million players by the end of last week. So, which is huge. Apparently, it's way bigger than any of the Sniper Elite newer Sniper Elite games have managed to do. They didn't actually talk about sales because probably a lot of that was Game Pass.
Game Pass, yeah. Both Game Pass PC and Game Pass console.
But they did come out and talk about people making. Look, they did one of those little choice things, and apparently one of those. And I just got to call these people out. 316,000 Atomfall players killed that scientist at the very beginning of the game who asks you to make him a bandage. I was like the very first person that you see.
Okay.
Yep.
I didn't do that.
I didn't do it either.
I helped him.
Monster. Let's see. Metal Gear got Metal Gear Snake Eater Delta, Metal Gear Solid Delta, the Snake Eater remake, got a ratings classification that indicates that it's going to have a somewhat controversial mode. There was a peep show mode that was added to the game, where if you played through the game 4 times, there was a cutscene with Ava in her bikini where you could go into first person and kind of ogle her.
That's weird.
And well, yeah, and apparently that's still in the game because I don't know. So, but here's a little bit more savory news. There was a brief clip of the game that was on Twitter, and it showed that they have implemented a system where you can change your camouflage from a little menu that just pops up in the game instead of having to go all the way into the start menu.
Okay.
Which is a great addition in my opinion.
Yeah, no, yeah.
Even though, I don't know, maybe it like you're supposed to kind of try to figure that stuff out in advance, but whatever. Yeah, and that's it. That was it. We got through them.
Nice.
We lightning those rounds. I cut them down before we started, and we managed to get through them. So now all we got left is the trailers. So everybody stick around, and we'll be back in just a minute with more of the RageSelect podcast. And we're back.
Hey.
And we got one more, like as if we haven't watched enough trailers, we've got more trailers to watch.
More trailers.
There were, John, I don't know if you believe this, but there were trailers this week for things that were not the Switch 2.
Oh my God.
I know. But before we jump right into that, I would tell you that one of those trailers was not for Grand Theft Auto 6. There was a story this week about how they asked Strauss Zelnick about like when we're going to see another trailer for Grand Theft Auto 6, and the answer was like, well, no time soon. And the rationale was because the hype is so high right now, we want to keep people super hyped by giving them no information whatsoever. And I'm like, you guys, this game is coming out this year, maybe, but I don't know. But
I was going to say, I don't think it's coming out this year.
Well, maybe. I mean, technically that's what's on the calendar, but there is no actual full, like, it's supposed to be this year, but they don't have a date yet, and then that's if it doesn't get pushed back. So, but I have the next best thing. I have the Grand Theft Auto at home. It's a game I've been keeping my eye on, John, called Mind's Eye, and they put out a trailer called Mind's Eye, Welcome to Red Rock. I've had my eye on this because IO Interactive has decided to throw their hat into the publishing ring.
Okay.
And this is the first game that they're publishing. And if they weren't attached to it, I don't know if I would be looking at it, but I love IO so much because this game appears to just be Grand Theft Auto. Like, you play as a guy in like a city, and it's a very like kind of Southern California-esque type of thing. The big thing is that there are robots. And like some technology. It's kind of, I think, a little bit of a Watch Dogs-ish spin, but there's like actual robots walking around doing stuff.
Okay.
And there's like politics and stuff, but then the game itself is, you're driving a muscle car and you're shooting machine guns and you're throwing drones at people that explode. And I mean, I don't know, you could see it. Like, it looks pretty good. Like, the graphics look fine.
But I mean, those aren't in-game. These are clearly cutscenes.
No, but this is all Unreal Engine 5.
Oh, okay.
This is, I mean, when they've showed gameplay, this is basically what it's looked like.
Okay.
Like it's, but it's just, it's very like J.C. Denton in a Grand Theft Auto game. It's just like a very strange mashup.
So it's the Saints Row effect of, you know what? If Rockstar's going to take too long to make a game, we'll fucking make it ourselves.
We're going to make our own Grand Theft Auto with robots. I don't know if there's hookers in it, but there are robots. But I don't know. Again, like I said, this would be a very generic game that I wouldn't really be paying very much attention to, except for the fact that IO is publishing it. And I'm like,
Yeah.
I think they see something in this. And so... and this is probably the most story-driven of the trailers they've had so far. The rest have just been very, like, action montages. So they talk a little bit in the trailer about, you know, this kind of politics. There's, like, a politician who's muscling in on the technology groups and stuff. So, I don't know. Could be okay. Who knows? Let's see. From there, we got the obligatory Call of Duty trailer. This one did not have Jay and Silent Bob in it. This was the return to Verdansk trailer because they're bringing back the Verdansk map for Warzone with 150 players. You can't hear it because the sound is turned down, but this is one of the ones. This one is all set to Bohemian Rhapsody by Queen.
Yeah, I think I've actually seen like clips of this trailer.
Yeah, and like every Grand Theft Auto, like every Call of Duty trailer, it makes Call of Duty look so much more fun than I think it actually is to play Call of Duty. Like these huge scrums of characters jumping off of buildings and doing finger guns and like doing these kills that I just don't think you can actually do, or they're like finishing moves and stuff. But I don't know. I'm curious to know if people are excited for. Are people still playing Warzone?
I mean, I would assume so.
I would have to assume so. But yeah, I don't know. It's a good trailer at least. I enjoy watching Call of Duty trailers way more than I enjoy playing actual Call of Duty.
Fair enough.
So yeah. Speaking of games, they're putting the guest stars in. Fortnite put out the Test Your Might trailer, showing that in addition to the Sub-Zero that's already in there, we're getting Scorpion. We're also getting Kitana and Raiden in Fortnite, with little kind of emotes that match up with their things. It also looks like, I don't know, they're in like a pit level or is that what it's called?
Yeah, the pit.
The pit? Yeah. Not sure what that's all about. I don't know. I haven't been keeping up as much with Fortnite. Michael is really into Fortnite. It's been very strange. But I kind of get it. Like having just a game that you can play for, 30 minutes at a time as opposed to trying to get through some giant story thing.
I mean, that's basically me with like the WWE 2K games.
Yeah. So, yeah. It was pretty good. Let's see. After that, we got the teaser for Goat Simulator 3. They're doing an expansion for Goat Simulator 3. This doesn't have very much. It just shows Pilgor walking and then kind of coming to an arid land where she looks around, and then it just says that there's going to be more Goat Simulator in the future. Did you play Goat Simulator 3?
I did.
I really enjoyed Goat Simulator 3.
No, it was a lot of fun.
It was real dumb, and I loved it. So, yeah. Let's see. After that, this was a strange trailer. This was a Kingdom Come Deliverance 2. This is the official Devil's Pack trailer. This is a trailer that is cut like it's for a movie. Because the group that you are part of in the game, I think is kind of called like the Devil's Pack, like they're led by this one guy. So it's kind of just like a montage of shots from the game, and then every so often it kind of does a thing where it stops and puts the character in like the frame and then puts up their name and their voice actor, and it's actually a really good encapsulation of like the kind of all of the different characters that are in the game, because the one thing that Kingdom Come Deliverance 2 has in spades is memorable characters. Okay. So, I don't know. Had you at all considered playing Kingdom Come Deliverance 2?
No, not really.
It's weird because it's not the sort of game that I would normally like, but then I ended up really enjoying it for the whole 250 hours that I played it. So, but then it also burned me out for all the not 250 hour long games that came out this year. Anyway, weird trailer. Let's see. From there, we had a slightly bigger announcement. Path of Exile 2 is adding in their first additional class, the Huntress, as well as a whole bunch of new armor and weapons and perks and all kinds of stuff in their next update. This is kind of a story trailer about a character who finds kind of like a cursed magical artifact of some sort and ends up, this is very coded when you see the gameplay as like the Amazon from Diablo 2.
Okay.
So like very like spear focused.
Okay. Yeah, no, I see it.
Yeah, and it's cool to see that the Path of Exile guys are still keeping up, because I mean, I don't know. It'd be interesting to try to figure out whether, like, I would be curious to see what the numbers for Path of Exile 2 were and what the numbers for Diablo 4 were and how they compare to each other. Like, I know Diablo is on Game Pass, but I think Path of Exile 2 is still in the, like, pay for early access period.
Okay.
But, yeah. I don't know. Did you check out? I don't think you've checked out Path of Exile 2
No,
at all.
I don't even think I think I might have played the first Path of Exile, but I can't remember.
You're not really much of an ARPG guy, though, right? Or do you Diablo? Do you do Diablo?
I played Diablo a lot back in the day.
Yeah.
I played a little bit of Diablo 4, but like I would say I've kind of fallen away from it over the years.
Mm-hmm. Did you? I don't know. I Diablo 4. I didn't like the static overworld map. That was like my big thing. So it just kind of didn't appeal to me as much. But it looks like they're adding a shitload of content in here, and it all looks really good. Like all the, just the way the game looks is very, I don't know, very cool. Lots of particles and stuff.
Yeah, it looks good.
Let's see. We also got 5 minutes worth of Blades of Fire. This is something that I talked about a little while back, which is, so technically this is a sequel to a game called Blades of, I think it's like Shadow.
Okay.
Or something like that. It came out in, I think it was 2021. Let's see. Blade of Darkness. So here, let me pull this up. Blade of Darkness was like a kind of a Soulsy, like a gritty Soulsy game with like real like lo-fi kind of graphics. You can see it looks an awful lot like an old PC game. In fact, I think it is an old PC game, because I think that this was listed as like a remaster, like an HD remaster. So they're apparently making this follow-up that's called Blades of Fire. The kind of claim to fame here is that this is being made by Mercury Steam, the guys that made Metroid Dread and the Metroid Prime, or the Metroid 2 3DS remake. But it looks real generic.
Yeah, it does.
Like the only thing that kind of stands out in here is there's a point in this trailer where the main character, they're like a blacksmith, and it looks like their weapons might have specifically like health or status effects that go like on like hilts and the handles and stuff, and that they can break.
Yeah.
Like they can break mid-combat, and then you'll have to like kind of swap out. So there might be some kind of like management there. But the actual just moment-to-moment gameplay looks an awful lot like an old-ass PS3 game that I've never heard of. Yeah. Which is a little weird, because like Metroid Dread was amazing. Like it had really good
great game.
Production values. So I'm not sure if this is just like, I don't know, like a work for hire gig, or like what the deal is. But it is interesting to see a little bit more of it. So, let's see here. The the Dusk Hunters, the Veil Hunter. What was that?
The Dusk Bloods?
Dusk Bloods wasn't the only From Software trailer that came out this week, because we got a trailer for Iron Eye, which is the archer class for Night Rain.
Okay.
So we'd seen during the beta there were like 3 different characters I think he could be, and this one is a little bit more of a ranged character. They seem to have like
looks like he's also doing some crazy like running up walls and jumping off them stuff.
Yeah.
At one point.
Well, I think everybody in Night Rain also has like some interesting kind of like
Traversal
movement, traversal skills that do different things. I don't know. It's interesting. I wish I'd gotten into that beta because I'm really unclear about whether I want to actually play this game or not.
Fair enough.
And I have to find out whether I can make you play this game. Whether we'll have our first co-op playthrough of a FromSoft game.
That's a good question.
Yeah. I don't know. What's your class when you play online games, John?
I don't play a lot of online games.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, what's your class when you play single player games?
Usually like barbarian type thing, but like in Elden Ring, I can't remember what class I chose. Probably just a standard like fighter.
Yeah. Well, with Elden Ring 2, I don't know. I was playing the first Berserker Kazan game, and it was like, this game has a bunch of different builds, and I realized that like one of the reasons that I think I don't like some Souls games is because it's like, here's a brand new system to learn, and I'm like, bitch, I already know all the systems from this other game. It's way easier to play that than it is to get something new up in there. So anyway, it's coming out pretty soon, so we'll get to see. Let's see. We got the announcement trailer for The Legend of Heroes Trails Beyond the Horizon. This is another Trails game. I had to look it up. This is not the Trails game that I played a long time ago for the PS3.
Yeah.
This one's got mechs, and it's like in a city, and it's not Xenoblade Chronicles. This came out last year in Japan and is part, I think, 2 of this particular Trails saga. So like Trails, it's like there's slightly more, I don't know, the impression I've always gotten is that the Trails games are slightly more, I don't want to be insulting, John. What's a good name for they're more simply made than some of the other games, but that they end up making like 5-game like sagas where you have the same characters that kind of go from game to game, kind of in the old school way. But this is the announcement for this game coming out in the West, and it's coming out in the fall. I don't know. What do you think? Anything?
Yeah, I mean,
kind of a standard
I've
JRPG?
never been a big Trials of Heroes or whatever the heck the game's called.
Yeah.
I've never been a really big fan of the franchise, so I got nothing.
Okay, fair enough.
Sorry.
No, that's all right. I like the mechs. I like the fact that there's mechs in there. Part of me wants to just play a game with mechs because there's so many mech games out there, and they're all multiplayer, and I don't want to play a multiplayer mech game. I just want to play single-player games. Let's see. We got a really strange trailer for Karma the Dark World. Actually, when you guys are listening to this podcast, Amanda and I should have a video out for it because it was a very weird first-person kind of adventure game.
Okay.
A lot of people with TVs on their heads. This trailer is specifically to announce that they're putting out some film filters on the game, but all they really show is basically a black and white mode, and all they really announce is black and white mode, which I think, I don't know, kind of works a little bit, but like it's difficult to say because I don't know that I understand. I don't know. It's hard to tell. Did you ever think of play a game in black and white? Remember they had the what was that?
Yeah, I've played games in black and white before.
The Ghost of Tsushima had the like.
Yeah,
what was it? The guy, the director.
Yeah,
the mode that made it look like one of his movies.
Yeah, that was, you could play that in black and white. I'm trying to think of what other games also had a black and white mode.
I guess technically they all do if you turn on the saturation.
Well,
on your
yeah,
TV.
yeah, but there's like certain games that actually have a like, oh, you can play this game in color or play it in black and white
for artistic purposes. Yeah. But anyway, that's an update that's coming soon. They only showed the black and white, but apparently they're going to have a few more different options. Very weird game. Very weird game. So Rebellion also has Nazi Zombie Army.
Oh, yeah,
Nazi Zombie Army
right.
is coming to PSVR 2. We got a release date for that. It made me wonder though if the engine that they're using is compatible with VR, why they didn't put VR support into Atomfall like at launch as opposed to, I don't know, waiting for another day, because like this is definitely a lot of mowing down zombies. But like fighting one dude with a cricket bat in that other game is kind of hard. So Although I do like the idea of having the X-ray sniper scope in VR. I don't know. Sorry, y'all. Trailers this week are a little bit less bombastic.
Yeah.
May 22nd is when that's coming out for PSVR 2. So, I think this is a separate SKU. I don't think this is like Nazi Zombie Army 4 VR or whatever. I think it's just its own thing. So, let's see. We got the release date trailer for Out of Sight. This is a very strange game. I don't think I'd heard about this before.
Yeah, I think I saw the trailer for this, and I thought it looked interesting.
Because it's like you play as a little girl, and her eyes are covered, but she can see through her teddy bear. And so your point of view in the game is the teddy bear. So if you're holding the teddy bear, it's like you're in first person.
Yeah.
But you can set the teddy bear down and then go into like third person. So the teddy bear is watching as the little girl moves around. And it's kind of got some like Clock Tower vibes with or Little Nightmares, I guess, where you've got like kind of adult, creepy looking monster characters.
Yeah, I see that in the trailer.
It's an interesting idea. It reminds me of there was a game, what was that game a long time ago where it's like the kid it was like a little kid horror game where you played as like a toddler. It was a big thing for a little while. I don't really remember, but anyway, though, it got a release date, May 22nd. I don't know. These indie spooky games, sometimes they can be good, but I never stick with any of them.
Yeah.
I always start them up and just kind of check them out and then never feel the need to really go back to them in any way, shape, or form.
Yeah, that's fair.
So, yeah. Let's see. From there, we got the launch trailer for Haste. If y'all are patrons at patreon.com/RageSelect, you can watch Michael and I play this game. This was, John, the best Sonic game I've ever played.
Oh, okay.
This is from the people that made that content warning game.
Okay.
And it's basically a behind-the-back runner where you are running and you have like a kind of a button to kind of go down to the ground, and then you also have a button to pull out kind of like an air skateboard. But the thing is that there's like a kind of a darkness that is behind you the entire time that's trying to catch up to you. And then the level is set up like a Slay the Spire where you choose like a path through a randomized set of environments, and you could choose whether you're going to like run into like challenge modes. It's also got like a little story mode, and the graphics are nice. Like it's very exciting. Like it's got a big sense of speed, but it's got a high enough FOV that like you can see stuff coming. So it's definitely it's definitely cool. Like it's an idea for a Sonic game that I was like, oh, you're running so fast, but like if you end up like kind of failing, it's a roguelike, so you just kind of get your upgrades and then you start over again.
Okay.
So and it also has a mechanic that's kind of interesting where it's like you're kind of going up and down these hills, and you want to like kind of come down on the downside of a hill to gain momentum to be able to go back up the next hill even faster. I don't know. I was really impressed with it because these types of games are not necessarily the sort of thing that I'm super duper into, but this one was a hell of a lot of fun. So yeah. Good stuff. Let's see. All right, John, how about the return of a classic?
Return of a classic. What classic?
We got news about this happening last week, and we got a full-on trailer this week for the Steam release of Big Rigs Over the Road Racing.
All right. I'm all for Big Rigs.
Well, do you remember this game?
No.
Oh, okay. This is a game that was had an infamous 1.0 score on GameSpot back in the day, where the review was just Alex Navarro playing it and running into bug after bug after bug.
Okay.
And like there was no commentary. They didn't talk about the game. It would just show gameplay and then go back to him like pounding his hand on his desk and putting his head in his hands and being like more and more disgusted at what's going on. It's a racing game, and apparently there's only you and one other AI racer, and then the AI racer never moves at all.
Okay.
Also, if you go backwards, there is no speed limiter. So if you drive the truck backwards, it can basically go to infinity speed, and you can fall off the entire edge of the map because it just ends at a certain point. So next up, we got the release date for Monster Train 2. Did you?
Yes,
you did play Monster Train.
Yeah, I played it a lot. That's actually a game I'm very looking forward to. Is Monster Train 2. This one kind of goes into heaven.
No, I think the last one was in heaven, and this is like heaven and hell have now joined up to face the Titans, I think was the description that I read.
Yeah, something like that.
So I think you're having both like mixed heaven and hell units.
Well, in the first game, you're traveling through hell and being attacked by the angels of heaven.
Oh, okay. And this one, okay.
So you're probably teaming up with heaven, traveling through heaven, being attacked by the Titans or whatever. Or it's heaven being attacked by hell. I don't know.
Is this is like kind of the only card game that I think I've ever heard you talk about in any way,
This
shape, or
and
form.
Slay the Spire, obviously.
Oh, okay. I think Slay the Spire 2 is out in like a month or something like that.
Kind of looking forward to that one too.
Yeah. This trailer was a little sparse. There was a lot of like kind of...
I mean, it looks like more of Monster Train.
Yeah, slightly higher resolution. Looks like they've redone a little bit of the art.
Some new characters, some updated character art for existing characters.
Yeah.
It looks good.
Yep. And now it actually has a release date. So May 21st. Not that far. Let's see. Okay. I have a soft spot for this game. Speaking of release dates, this is a game called Kyborg.
Okay, I know of this game.
And it looks like some old school PS2 ass, like just kind of 3D beat 'em up kind of stuff. It's a roguelike where you play as a guy and you get cybernetic enhancements and you're just kind of beating your way up this tower. He got a big Mike Hagar mustache. I don't know. There's not like a lot of like. There's not a huge amount of like to say about this because it looks a little generic. But I kind of just love how incredibly ultra violent it is.
Yeah.
And they've got all these kind of crazy upgrades that you can get. You could swap out your arms with like guns or whatever. I tried playing the Steam demo. It was a little.
Yeah, I do
janky.
appreciate that when you do get the upgrades, like there's all like fireworks in the background.
Yeah,
like it's a big hullabaloo
because it has a kind of like a Running Man announcer monster guy, and it's got a strange fighting system because it's like you have like a dedicated button for spin around attacks and things like that. At least that's what I got for the demo, and it looks pretty nice too. Like it's not exactly gonna be winning best graphics of the year, but like it's definitely better looking than
looks good.
Yeah, some of the stuff. April 30th.
Yeah, it's right around the corner.
Yeah, a lot of stuff coming out. Speaking of stuff that's coming out, we got the early access launch trailer for Steel Hunters. This is the World of Tanks mecha game.
Okay.
That makes me sad the way that I was just talking about, where I want to play mecha games, but I don't want to play them against other people.
Yeah.
Which kind of sucks because all the mechs in here are like, there's like spider mechs and like cat mechs and snipers and like close-up combat and stuff. It looks a little bit less bombastic than Mecha Break.
Oh, okay.
Mecha Break has a much more, I feel like, kind of anime aesthetic to it.
Yeah.
This is a little bit more World of Tanks. But yeah, this is in early access. I don't know. This might be the one to try to get me. Have you ever worlded a tank or a ship?
No, I never played any of the battleships, whatever it's called, or World of Tanks or any of that. Like I've never really got into any of that stuff.
They have the weirdest crossovers.
Yeah.
They have the weirdest crossovers. Oh yeah, April 2nd is early access for that. And then just about last, I was very excited about this, John.
It's a special announcement.
New Super Robot Wars game is coming out. Super Robot Wars Y. I'm pretty sure the last one was Super Robot Wars X. That means that you're going to get a tactics game with a bunch of chibi versions of robots from a bunch of different animes. I didn't actually write them down. So here, let's see if we go through them. Combatler V.
Okay.
Which is one of those like a bunch of cars and shit and turn into one robot.
Yeah.
Kind of Voltron-ish. Aura Battler. What the hell did that say? Aura Battler Dunbine? Doombine? I've never heard
Don't
of
know
that
that
before. Yeah. Looks very 80s. It's kind of like bug mechs, I guess.
Okay.
Let's see. Mobile Fighter G Gundam. So we got some G Gundam up in there, which is pretty cool. I actually think this one looks like the little attack moves they're doing look better than the last one. It looks like sharper, and I think there's a little bit more like 3D in them than there was last time. Let's see. Majestic Prince.
Okay.
Any idea about that one?
Nope.
I'm like, I don't know if I need to look these up or if all of these are trash.
Why not both?
Yeah, that's a good question. I don't know. I only got time for so many animes. I already got a lot of animes.
Fair enough.
Let's see. Code Geass, Liluke of the Revolution. I've always heard good stuff about
Code
Geass, Geese, whatever it is. I think it's one of those like medieval ones.
Yeah.
Let's see. Another one here. Should have written these down. But they're also putting Macross Delta the movie.
Okay.
Passionate Valkyrie. I don't know what that is. I kind of fell out of touch with Macross after a while, but it looks like some Macross with a bunch of missiles and shit.
Okay. Yeah. No.
Get a Robo is in there.
Okay. I'm familiar with Get a Robo.
Yeah. But then the one that I really like is Witch from Mercury.
Okay.
We're getting Soletta from Witch from Mercury in there, which makes the second time that Witch from Mercury has been in a chibi like battle game and doesn't have like a main game that I could play, which makes me sad because I would like to play that.
And more.
But probably it would be like an online versus game if I had to do that.
Yeah.
Original heroes, original characters, all kinds of stuff coming in 2025. So
Okay.
Yep. Let's see. We got some Final Fantasy. So now we're kind of in the mixed zone. We got some Final Fantasy IX remake rumors, and this comes from the fact that Square Enix put out a pair of figures that were Zidane and Garnet.
Okay.
And they've been like kind of interpolated from their PS2 forms into a little bit more realistic form. It's been rumored for a long time that there's a Final Fantasy IX remake on the way. But we've never heard anything. Like, it's supposed to be not like a Final Fantasy VII remake, but like more like the Crisis Core. Like up-resed and cleaned up and kind of made good for
I get what you're saying.
So, yeah. But still no release date. Because also like an anniversary, I think, for these. I don't know. Did you play 9? Did you play 9?
I vaguely remember 9.
I think
I feel like, obviously I knew of I played 7 when it originally came out. I played 8. I feel like 9 I didn't play, and then I went straight to 10.
Yeah. Me too.
So,
yeah. I don't know. I think I played they put out like a PC version a little while back, and I think I played a little bit on the dojo, but like I don't know, it just never really hooked me. We got a really brief look at RuneScape is making a survival game.
Okay.
Set in the RuneScape universe called Dragon Wilds that's been rumored for a little while. I think this is being made by, is it Jaeger? Or G-A-G-X. I've never RuneScaped before. I hear people are really into that. But
I've never really been much into the RuneScape games.
But yeah, apparently this is going into some release form at some point this year. There's not really a whole lot to this, but you can at least wishlist it on Steam. I don't know. This is a little bit more interesting. We got a report this week that like 3 or 4 different Korean companies have come to Blizzard with ideas of things to do in the StarCraft universe, since Blizzard seems to have absolutely no interest in it at the moment. Let's see. NCSoft, Nexon, Netmarble, and Krafton have all apparently pitched StarCraft games to Blizzard. One that's like an MMO. Nexon, it makes the first Descendant. Do you know that one with the bunny lady with the butt hanging out? That one was pitched as a quote unquote unique use of the IP. A few mobile games and a battle royale style game.
Okay.
All of which seemed to me to miss the point of StarCraft.
Yes. And all of which seemed to be something that Blizzard, at least when I worked there, would have went, no.
Yeah. But all of which seem like they could be incredibly big in Korea.
Yeah.
Where StarCraft still does pretty good numbers. So, yeah. I don't know. That's weird. We'll have to see if anything comes of it. I don't really know what Blizzard does anymore. Like the World of Warcraft, I guess, was the last. They have a big update for that with the houses and stuff.
Yeah. I mean, the last big non-World of Warcraft game was Diablo 4's expansion, which just came out within the last year or so.
Yeah.
I think it came out last year.
So, phone game.
You know, the next thing would probably, given how they make these games, Overwatch 2,
Diablo 4
is kind of a thing. So I would imagine they would do something with StarCraft next, but as with always, it's very much if they don't have an idea for it, they're not going to force it.
Yeah.
So,
because they had that survival game, right? That they were prototyping that they got rid of. Like they had some like concept art and stuff out there. It was like a kind of like a build survival game.
Yeah, I vaguely remember that.
That then got kind of thrown out. And then I guess they still have World of Warcraft Classic. They could just keep releasing the expansions to that.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's weird. I used to really like Blizzard.
I liked them too. I worked there for a while, so you know.
I don't really like them as much anymore, but let's see. Speaking of games that are getting updates, the Sinking City. Do you remember the Sinking City?
Yes, it's getting a sequel.
It is getting a sequel, but it's also getting the first one is getting a free update to glow it up from Unreal Engine 4 to Unreal Engine 5.
Oh, that's nice.
So you can kind of see in these screenshots that like the lighting is getting much better. The kind of the way that the like they're kind of just using the same environments, but they're just kind of upping their game with some of the built-in Unreal Engine 5 stuff.
Okay.
That makes it look a lot sharper and a little bit better lighting. I don't know. Sometimes I wonder. I have a thing I've started to get onto about like I don't want every game to be in Unreal Engine 5 because they all start to look exactly the same.
Yeah.
But the Sinking City, I thought that was fun when I played it. So I don't know. I played that with Amanda, I guess. Did you ever get into that or?
I started to play it, but then I wasn't really like getting into it.
Yeah.
And I think something else came out like around the same time that I was like, well, I'm going to play this other thing that I'm way more into. I'll come back to Sinking City, and then just never went back to it.
Oh, also it's worth pointing out, I didn't realize this until I read this article, that Frogwares actually did manage to wrest the rights back from Big Ben for
good.
For Sinking City. So the Steam page of it now is controlled by them, and that's good because yeah, I'm always rooting for them, little guys.
But yeah, Sinking City is one of those I keep going, you know, I should play that at some point. I should try to play that again.
Well, wait, did you buy the game? Because Frogwares made that Sherlock Holmes game. Didn't you buy a Sherlock Holmes game just recently?
I bought. They had the Microsoft had a sale where it's like buy 3 games or buy 2 games get 1 free kind of thing, or it was like buy 1 get 2 free or something. I don't remember what the sale was, but it was like a really good deal. And I think I bought like Mortal Kombat 1 with the expansion, and then there was a bundle that had the 3 Sherlock Holmes games together.
Okay.
And then I bought
the Cthulhu one, the Young one, and then there was like another one.
Young, Daughter, and Crimes and Punishment. Okay.
I think most of those are Frogwares, actually.
Yeah.
If I'm not mistaken. But let's see. Well, speaking of spooky shit, V Rising is getting yet another expansion called Invaders of Oakvale. There's going to be a big spooky forest full of like crazy weird people to fight. They're also getting claws and twin blades as weapons. And the developer says that they're fully reworking the combat engine, because I was actually really appreciative of this, where they said right now it seems like people always gravitate towards the meta because your stats always progress in kind of one-ish way.
Yeah.
And they want it to be the opposite way. They want it to be where you're building towards what you want to do, so that everything can be used at higher levels and not just like the most top tier spells.
Okay.
So, but yeah, they put a little quick teaser for it, and it looks good. I don't know. I'm glad to see that V Rising is still out there doing good work. Satisfactory also is getting a 1.1 update that adds in, this is the most boring story I have at my entire disposal. It's like, ooh, vertical sorters, and now the hyperloops, you can choose which way you want to go when you're going through the hyperloops.
My God.
I know.
That changes everything.
I know. But needless to say, Satisfactory 1.1 is coming in with a bunch of new features. I was surprised because I think I played Satisfactory when it first came out in early access, and then I came back to it later, and I was like, oh shit, I get this now. I don't know if between the time it went into early access and now I was like, oh, it my brain changed, and now I'm into those dad games where you're just putting stuff on conveyor belts.
Yeah.
So let's see. And then here's an interesting one that I had never heard of. Apparently, an artist online put on their portfolio art that they did for a Star Wars game that we've never heard of before, that is some kind of tactics like XCOM style game with like Mandalorians and stuff. It kind of has an art style that's kind of similar, I think, to that Hunters game that they're shutting down. But yeah, not that much out there. I don't know. It would be nice to see a little bit more. Apparently Respawn was working on this. Okay. It was like something they were doing in-house.
Yeah, I vaguely remember hearing that they were working on some type of Star Wars game.
Something besides the Force Unleashed, or no, the Jedi Survivor, Jedi Outcast. I don't know. It takes a lot for me to actually get all the way into a tactics game.
I love tactics games.
Yeah.
So I probably would have played this.
It's weird living in this world where there's no Star Wars to be had outside of like some TV shows. I don't know. They're like Andor season 2.
Well, we're getting a Mandalorian and Grogu movie.
Yeah, but when? It's been so long.
Knows? I know it's done filming.
Yeah. All right, and then let's wrap it up. We have a few fun things. April Fool's was last week.
Yes.
And normally, if there had been a Switch 2 announcement, we would have a whole bunch of April Fool's stuff to talk about. One of the things that we found was last year, Kart World had a dating simulator April Fool's joke. And this year, they had the same April Fool's joke, but with slightly different characters. Some pals, some people, all like making goo-goo eyes at you. The main difference here, John, is that this one is like, also you can wish list it on the Steam page that actually exists.
Yeah.
So it looks like they're probably going to go ahead and do that, which, while I appreciate the effort, I'm getting a little tired of this particular joke of like...
I think there were a few other games that also had like dating sim jokes. Yeah. For like, I think even Remedy released one for FBC Fireteam.
Oh, really?
Saying that there was going to be a dating sim mode where you could flirt with the monsters.
Okay, I would play.
And
that.
It was the guy with all the post-it note monster, and like some flirtatious lines about like I'm stuck on you.
Okay, I don't know. Like I've been through 4 of these by now. There was like the Colonel Sanders one. There was the Dead by Daylight one, and it's
like I don't know if it's an actual game that the Remedy was making, but everyone's making the joke about turning their game into a simulator, a dating simulator for April Fools. Like it's a very common joke for games.
Yeah. I think it's also relatively easy to make. I think these games are relatively easy to make. If you have an art department and a few writers and an afternoon, you can crank out something. So there are some pals in here that are not, I don't think, in the main game. But the interesting thing is if you go to the actual store page, the screenshots have the characters from last year's April Fool's joke in them, like Lovander and Chillet. So I guess we'll see. That's the good April Fool's dating game story.
Okay.
The bad one is that PUBG put out one of these.
Oh.
And it was like a guy playing PUBG and he keeps dying, and it says like, "Where is love on the battlefield?" And then this is apparently on their website. You can totally log in, link your account, and actually get rewards for playing this game, where the guns and weapons in the game turn into like
okay,
dating simulator ladies. The downside of this, John, is that these are all AI generated. They came out and said these are all AI generated. And not that I have very complicated feelings about AI, but like, God damn, dude, this is the internet. You can find someone to draw some waifus for you.
Yeah,
Come on.
There are people that will make that shit.
Yes. They'll make it for free. They'll make it for... You might be able to find people online who would do that shit for exposure. Also, this company made $832 million in profit last year. Come on, guys. Shave off $300K and just pay somebody on DeviantArt. Call Matt. He'd do it. He'd probably be more creative than these characters. These are just like generic people. Like, just generic anime ladies. I don't know. Boo. Anyway. Let's see. Overwatch had their April Fool's thing.
Yeah, what was theirs?
This is a little bit hard to talk about. Like, I know in previous years they did this thing where they put googly eyes on everything, and they brought that back this year.
Okay.
But it was combined with a thing that was called Totally Normal Watch.
Okay.
But what it is, it's very hard to describe because every single character in the game had all of their powers and everything that they did were like adjusted in weird ways. So like... what's her face? There's the medic that has a sniper rifle.
Yeah.
And her sniper rifle now had one shot before it had to be reloaded, but that like the damage and the healing were upped by like 200%.
Okay.
And like, what is the was it like there's a whole list of the notes here, like Diva mech size reduced by 50%, mech base health reduced from 375 to 25, mech armor health is unchanged, pilot DVA size reduced by 50%, pilot health reduced from 175 to 25, so Diva became small.
Okay.
But yeah, they just went in and made a bunch of adjustments to some stuff that kind of made it just like a kind of a silly free-for-all as opposed to what it normally is.
Okay.
So kind of hard to describe, but seemed okay. I went online looking for like, can I see a video of this? And it's like, well, every single Overwatch character had all their shit adjusted. No, you can't watch a match where every Overwatch character plays and shows off the changes to their stuff. But that doesn't matter because the clear and undisputed winner of April Fool's this year, John, is Marvel Rivals. Because Marvel Rivals put out an in-game emote for Venom that makes Venom twerk. So it is the twerking Venom emote. It is actually a thing. He will actually do it, and you can actually get this in the game.
Yeah. There was a lot of controversy about this. Not controversy and like people being upset by it, but people praising it and then going, okay, so this is funny, but when the She-Hulk Marvel Cinematic Universe movie did it as an after-credits joke, it was disgusting. And
right.
And it's like people make up your mind kind of thing.
Yeah. Yep. I don't know. I mean, as a Marvel... Also, Marvel Rivals, I think today they had the trailer for Emma Frost.
Yeah. Which everyone's like, oh, look, it's another blonde character with a white and blue color scheme.
Right. Because you had Miss Sue
Storm and...
the Ice Lady?
No. Cloak and Dagger.
Oh,
Dagger.
right. Yeah.
They all... Well, yes, all three of them have different silhouettes and you can easily distinguish between them.
Sure.
They're all the same character with the exact same color palette. It's like Dagger could have had a different one. Sue Storm actually has an alternate that you can buy that everyone's like, this should have been the base because it differentiates her enough. Like instead of the white and blue, it was blue and black.
Okay.
And then like Sue, and then Emma Frost should just be plain white.
Right.
Like there should be no other color.
Right.
Why are
Yeah.
Why is this the trend that's happening with these new characters?
Good question. That's a good question.
But it's also people just bitching a bitch.
But not least, this is a fun little story from GDC. So apparently, Local Thunk, the creator of Balatro, went to GDC. He just went and was walking around, and like nobody knows who he is, because he doesn't put his face out there or anything. And apparently, he saw like a kiosk where they had set up Balatro because it was on like something like the best of the year, and so like he went up and he played it, and he just like completely destroyed the first stake in the game. Like he just like fucking tore right through it, and he was getting ready to leave, and somebody was like, "Wow, seems like you've played this game before." And he was like, "Yeah, you could say that." And then he just left. He also had a really fun statement where he said, "Also, this was actually the first and only time I've seen strangers play my game in real life. Have yet to see Balatro in the wild. So as far as I'm concerned, y'all are just Truman showing me." So that was a cute story. And that's it, John.
That's it.
That's the podcast.
Oh my God.
Yeah. Switch to and everything else. Holy crap. Do you have anything to shout out, John?
No, I'm not doing a damn thing.
Okay, fair enough. Well,
I wish I had stuff to shout out. I would totally shout it out.
Well, I tell you what, if you want to see more of me and John, patreon.com/RageSelect is where you can go to watch all of our previous playthroughs of all the From Software games and our current playthrough of Shadows of the Erd Tree, as well as support the podcast and make it a thing, because it is a shit ton of work to put all this shit. I made a spreadsheet. This week. I hate doing that, but I did it anyway because I didn't want to get lost. So, yeah. And that's it. And now I have to go back to video purgatory. John, are you sure you don't want to switch lives with me? Are you sure you don't want to switch lives with me? Really?
Yeah.
Oh, man. Anybody?